Hello and welcome to the Delirium engine, where we talk about Dungeons and Dragons as our pastime when we're not playing Dungeons and Dragons. Today we are talking about we're continuing our I series, I character series. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. And today we have a special episode. I am here with my good friend Ducklord. It's a Spartan.
Oh.
Mr.Dagwood. What is going on here?
Ducks.
I'm gonna have to change that.
Yeah, he's done screwed it up.
That's unfortunate.
I thought you were calling me Ducklord on purpose.
But you don't own ducks. Ducklord owns ducks.
There we go, fixed.
I've been in your house.
So yes, today I'm with the Spartan and Mr. Dagwood, and we will be talking once again along the series of I character. Today, though, is a special episode, and we will be discussing the ever fire-inducing gender episode. A tale of 2.5 choices.
Please feel free to grab your pitchforks and torches.
That's right. So,
It's time for all that doxing to finally kick in.
there you go. I expect that will happen.
I
So, we brought a bunch of alcohol with us today,
have a thing right here.
and I would like you to use that thing to open up my
do it.
alcoholic beverage. Now, so, just to sort of give an overview of what the series is, today we are going through... That's awesome. Today we are going through... we go through a various series of choices to determine how best to use parts of a character that we've all sort of agreed are necessary parts. We've got... Last time we did name.
And the cap's gone walkabout.
That's okay.
Last time we did name. This time we're going to do, well, gender. So let me just briefly synopsis what we're actually talking about, though. When we're talking about gender, we're not talking about sexual preference, which is something about that's more of a background character thing. Backstory. So that's actually going to be next episode, and maybe if we remember, we'll actually bring that up.
Oh, right on, right on.
But what we are talking about is the actual biological gender that you've chosen. All right?
Paul.
I guess we can actually tie race into this as well, if you'd like. If we like to go full intersectional on this episode.
I was meaning to play Minesweeper today, so...
Well, considering there's actually not a race option or a race category for the I character series, because not every series allows you to pick a different race. But
Sure.
the gender does let you choose. It's the only way to like physically sort of define your character in a really, I would say a big way. And race would be the same thing. But we're mostly talking about gender. Race probably will be covered in a light amount because honestly you pick your race in the same way I think as you pick your gender.
Yeah. Well.
Maybe not with the same thought behind it, because some people like to play cool dragonkin rather than playing a human. So you just sort of pick the character that looks the most like the kind of shit you want to play. But almost every race has two genders, and those genders, they represent certain things. And so we're going to try to talk about exactly how and in what situation would it be best for you to pick one choice, and what situation would be best for you to pick another choice. And then we'll talk about the 0.5 choice as well. We'll smatter that in there as well. Because, sometimes people want to play androgynous or non-binary existing characters like, a character like a character or a racial type that doesn't have a gender. So they're just like, they don't even understand what binary genders are like.
Like Warforged.
Sure, like a Warforged. Good example. Okay, so as we usually do, we'll start with the Spartan because he's sitting across from me rather than beside me.
Oh. Okay.
And let me go ahead and just start with the question: what gender do you prefer to play, male or female? Or I'll go first, just so I don't make it awkward. It's going to be a stupid answer, because it's not going to make it less awkward, but I generally do a 50-50 split with a favoring towards female characters when I want to draw a new female character.
Fair.
But when when my imagination waifu is just fine with me right now, I'll just play a male character because I don't know. 50-50.
Okay. For me, it doesn't... Personally, I don't really have a preference toward either one. It's more about which would fit better with the idea of what I want my character to be in my head at the moment when I'm making it. So, like, when I think of, say, I want to make a priest, I'm not going to be, like, a 300-pound, muscle-bound orc designed to... who looks like he goes to the gym every day and lifts 500 pounds. That's not what I see when I think of a priest.
Okay. Cord says don't skip leg day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are priests of like athletic. There's like athletic gods and stuff too, right?
Well, then it might work for that one, but generally when I think priest, I think like a priest, a guy with a suit and the little white thing, right? Around his neck. But if I wanted to do like a warrior, then yeah, I'd be somebody stronger. Okay. So it's really just whatever fits that image at the time.
Yeah. But like, okay, so my question, well, we'll come back to that. So so you sort of pick the character that fits the best for what you're doing at the time, but it doesn't answer my question. You just pick whatever you prefer, you're saying. Like whatever fits your image.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not the best answer in the world, but okay. Mr. Dagwood.
That's what I got.
I find that I'm roughly about a 2-to-1 split, favoring male characters, simply because I can't do a female voice to save my life.
Well, you don't really
have
to,
no. But it does help me get into character, but...
True.
It's one of the last things I fill in on the character sheet is their gender, because to me, I really want to pick it based on the attitudes and mindset that I'm going for. You know, I look at their perspective, their point of view of that character, and then I think, okay, would this better suit, a male or a female character? And of course, I also like the little bit of a character exploration. It's a chance for you to actually try something different. If you can pretend that you're a 300-year-old elf, surely you can pretend that you're a woman or a dragonborn or a warforged or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty good start. So I guess we'll start with my first point then. So the Spartan here, he talked about making characters that best fit his archetype. Now, my question to you is, what archetypes are best fit by women, and what archetypes are best fit by men? Let's get to the truth of this here.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yes. Here you go.
Just throw me under the bus, why don't you?
Would you like me to answer first?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't need you to save me by starting the fire first.
Okay. Don't worry. Mr. Dagwood got... He's gonna get one too. A big flaming hot question.
Nice.
Well, it's hard to say really, because you have a variety on either side.
Okay, so
like
you're saying that there is a spectrum of characters that your gender doesn't define everything about your character.
Exactly.
But when would you pick a female character over a male character? Like, you're making your warrior. Let's just do warriors for now. Okay. You're making a warrior. Okay? Why would you pick a female warrior over a male warrior? Or vice versa? Let's start with female. Why would you pick a female warrior? What possible motivation?
I think it would, for me, it'd be what kind of warrior I would be going for. If I'm going for somebody who's going to stand up there and tank hits, like a meat shield, I'd probably lean towards more of a male character.
Why?
That would fit in my head.
Why?
I think it's more of the stereotype.
Okay.
Like,
Like the
When-
Conan the Barbarian kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of thing.
Okay.
But if I was going for something more like an agile, kind of a dodgy warrior or something along those lines, somebody more free-flowing, I might lean towards more of a female character because they're more flexible,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
So, are you saying that these are archetypes that do better under a male? Like, take the hit, brute force archetypes are more male archetypes, and avoid combat, and, like, avoid the hit, and sort of be dexterous are more female archetypes. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And honestly, the point of the I Character series, you don't know what's true and what's not.
True.
We have no idea. We're trying to explore the idea, and we may not
Yeah.
get it in one, actually. I don't know. I never thought about not being able to get the answer in the first go. But, okay. Well, with that said, though, there's like an anime, if I remember correctly, and there's a girl character that is the tank, and she's like some big, she really likes getting hit.
Oh, I think I know what
I don't remember the name of the anime.
Konosuba?
There, Konosuba. That's it.
Konosuba.
Yeah, and this is your tank girl.
Yeah.
Right? And she's just like a full armored tank, and she just wants to be punished. Now,
Yes.
is this a good example of a feminine character? Like, she's extreme. It's like, to be fair, she's extreme.
Yes.
But she goes against your entire sort of like dexterous versus non-dexterous archetype. But she's a lovable enough character.
Yes.
And she's definitely a womanly character.
At times, yes.
Oh,
Most of the time, I'd say most of the time.
Yeah.
As long as she's not getting punched.
I'm going to get to that point, the point that I've made multiple times this week when I'm talking to people. And maybe we'll talk about it when we enter the donjon, if we do that this segment.
Okay.
But, continue, sorry.
No.
I'm going to get to this other point. Like, I have a theory about characters.
Okay.
And regarding what gender they actually all are.
Oh, yes. Okay.
No, but continue. Like this character, right? Like this is an example. This was a decent character, and she was doing like traditionally what you were describing as a male thing. And you know what? I would honestly agree with that. Like, I don't really give a crap about gender roles and conforming to gender roles, but there are things that are traditionally male and traditionally female.
Yeah.
It's just the way that we've sort of, when you've dropped the sand of history down, the men have fallen in one direction, the women have fallen in another direction, and, it's just the way we've worked. So I don't really care. Like, women can do men things and men can do womenly things, but when you're looking in aggregates, which I think is always a bad kind of idea, but you have to do it sometimes. It's a necessary evil. You realize, women tend to prefer some things and men tend to prefer other things. So in your case, I would say, like, yeah, the brute force, like, let's just get the job done kind of guy. Like, no excess, no wasted energy. The wasted energy is in taking the hit.
Yeah.
Kind of character that seems like a very male character. But they feminized it. And how did they feminize it? By adding an emotional attachment to the punishment. And that character is very feminine now. You've added an emotional attachment to it. If that was a man who was like, "Oh, hit me more," do you think that "Oh, hit me more" man would have been a manly man?
No.
He would have been an effeminate man.
Yes.
Because
quite.
he now has some sort of weird, and in both cases, it would have been a sexual, emotional attachment to having pain inflicted upon them.
Yeah.
And that's just one example, but like...
I gotta kind of disagree with that one, because if you look at the aggregate of history, men as a general whole are pretty fucking masochistic. Oh, pardon my language.
Yeah.
You look at all the suffering we bring upon ourselves in various ways.
Well, I didn't say that they're not masochistic, but do they have an emotional attachment to inflicting pain upon themselves? Like, I'm not saying that women have an emotional attachment to inflicting pain upon themselves, but in order to effeminize a masculine trait, or a traditionally masculine trait, would adding an emotional attachment to it work? Like, is that the femininity? Is that the trait of femininity? Is adding emotional attachments to things, like making something that would be normally impersonal to a man, something personal to a woman?
I think that is a bit more of a modern thing, because if you look at, like, for example, ancient Greek legends, where a lot of things, like you talk about Conan the Barbarian, he's Hercules. It's
Well, he's
the
not a
same
Greek
archetype.
legend. He's a fucking piece of fiction. Excuse
Yeah,
my
yeah.
language too.
But Hercules, right? Heracles,
Okay.
Hercules. The idea that Conan is just the same archetype of the big, bare-chested muscle man. Samson, they're all the same role, and in them, they're very emotional men. Like Hercules winds up going on a rampage because his feelings are hurt. That's what causes him to have to go ahead and redeem himself with all those great works.
What emotion was that,
Well,
For him,
What-
sadness,
though?
rage.
Sadness and rage.
Was it really his feelings though, or was it his pride?
Oh yeah, you got to remember.
How many
that-
stories are there of women getting sad and going into a rage and then slaughtering a bunch of people?
Actually, quite a few, and even in real history.
Personally,
like Queen Cordoba.
what was their story?
Her husband was killed by the Romans.
Okay.
Her daughters were raped, and she went around, gathered an army, and slaughtered thousands of Romans.
She gathered
violently.
an army.
Yeah, but she fought
Hercules
as well.
did it herself, or himself.
Yes, in the
She got a
stories.
bunch of dudes to go fight a fight for her.
Well,
Yeah, she
because it
fought
wasn't an
too.
army of
But-
women, I'll tell you that.
She fought them
Let's-
too, though.
I'm sure she did.
let's be fair. Real life and Hercules are kind of two.
But we're talking
But-
about But we're talking about like I realize that, but I'm trying to break down what is a masculine trait and what is a feminine trait. Because if we figure that out, if we figure out what masculine traits and what feminine traits are, we might actually be able to answer the question of what gender you pick and why. If I want to be the hit point tank, shields up, warrior paladin, and I pick the female character, right, who does
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
but masculine things, am I really playing a woman, or am I just putting the F? Am I just crossing the F dot?
Well, I like to play against the archetype more often than not. So, like, I do the barbarian women and things like that as well. But
Yeah, but barbarian
Ignoring-
women are just women who are barbarians.
yeah, but ignoring that.
What does that mean?
We're talking about something deeper to that. I'm thinking about, okay, all the female characters I've played, there's a general trend. They're a bit sour. I have this image in my head of someone who, for male characters, they tend to protect their friends. That's a thing that is a trait common to the characters I've played. I think about the female characters, and sometimes it's about vengeance, but quite often it's about trying to build something.
Okay.
I don't know about it. It's just something that came.
Well,
to
yeah.
mind.
Like, to be fair, we're just discussing it. It's not like we're experts on this concept. We're trying to tease out, as with every episode of this series, and in all of these series, we're trying to tease out the nugget of truth.
I guess what I'm saying is that there might just be a personal view involved in that, because it's not just there's the cultural aspect and there's the biological aspect, but then there's also, at the end of the day, as Grant said, he's picking male or female based on an image in his mind.
Thanks for the docs, bro.
That's what we do
All
here on the
right.
Delirium Engine. We dox each other.
Alrighty.
If you go back to every episode, if you go back through all the episodes, I'm sure you know all of our names by now. You know where we live.
I haven't been doxxed yet.
We haven't quite gotten the address yet.
No.
It doesn't matter, because if you know everybody's name, then you'll know all of their friends when you check
Yeah.
them on Facebook.
Yeah.
Now that we're and not only here do we dox people, we give instructions on how you can go about swatting each and every one of us individually. That's just how we roll.
Yeah.
If you're gonna swat
It's
me, can it be
almost
on
like-
Saturday, not Sunday?
It's almost like the concept of avatar characters in a radio show or on YouTube is kind of silly. Just saying.
We just
But you
slip
know
up.
what? That's fine, because
A little
that's the
bit.
culture of YouTube, and I like it.
Oh, it's been my bad.
And it
for
lets
the
you
slip
draw
up.
your own cool character to represent yourself. Doesn't matter. We could put our faces up on the screens if we wanted to, but there'd be no reason to. Anyway, let's go back to the conversation. We had this horrible segue.
So as Spartan said, so where does this image come from then? This idea that, I don't mean like image of male or female roles or that kind of, internalized thing. I'm talking about like these image of characters, because you're not playing real people. You're playing a character, and part of making a character is making them interesting, but the first person that you try to make a character interesting for is yourself. So why is this kind of character interesting to you? Like, why do you like, if you're going to play a big brute, why is it more interesting to play a man? If I'm going to be playing someone on a vengeance quest, why is it more interesting for them to be a woman for me?
You're looking at me as if I'm supposed to answer the question.
No.
I can
You're just looking around the table, really, but there's only three of us here.
I can give a theory, but my theory might not have anything to do with the two of you specifically.
No, that's fine.
Like, my theory is that when somebody plays an entity of the opposite gender, there is an element, like when you're playing someone of the same gender, often, and this is in most cases, like I'm sure that it'll be different for like gay people or something like that, but like if you're playing a character of the opposite gender, generally you're trying to play a character that is more desirable. Personally desirable. You kind of want to play the character that you would like to see in the world. Or if you're playing someone you don't, you're trying to play a manifestation of something horrible of that gender. Like, something maybe you've either experienced or dread to experience. And if you're playing someone of the same gender, it's kind of the same idea, but more personal. Like, this is like you're trying to play an aspect of yourself or an aspect of something you want to be. So, like, or if conversely, someone that's just horrible and you never want to be that, or an aspect of yourself that you hate. So for example, like, Hruld is a character I play, who's male, and he's the god of grand battles and high adventure. He just goes and gets stuff done. And he doesn't think about the details, he doesn't worry about the minutiae. That's something I think I would like to be. Conversely, there are characters that I've picked before that are kind of cool. Like back when I was in high school, my very first character was like a D&D character. It was like a woman, and I picked a woman for twinkery reasons, because I didn't want them to die to nymphs, right? So I figured female is actually a more powerful gender to pick on your character sheet. But over time, I drew the character, and I expounded on the character, and eventually this character sort of became and I'm going to go about the stereotypical nerdly archetype of a virtuous woman, like a Joan of Arc / Mother Teresa / well, not Mother Teresa, but Virgin Mary / like this like embodiment of like the perfect lady, right? This is like a virtuous and I don't take no guff from no man, but like, I'm soft-hearted and like, you just project everything that's really awesome onto that character. And this is like high school. Like, I don't do this shit anymore, but like you do see it all the time in people when they do make female characters when they're male. And I've seen female characters female players do similar things with male characters. So I think it works both ways. Pretty certain that most people generally fall into these traps where they pick what they find desirable, or when they want to make it like a bad character, they pick something that's repulsive. So like a little bit of like wish fulfillment. The same way like it's theorized that everybody in your dream is just a facet of yourself, kind of thing. Yeah, that's kind of an idea. Yeah, that's sort of what I think, and that's my theory. I get what you're saying. And like you
it makes sense.
Yeah. And it can be taken too far. And I knew we would touch on it, and I guess we could touch on it now because it's flowed into it a little bit. But we can talk a little bit about the things that we've seen of players who play the game. Like, I've seen a lot of lonely people play like a lot of women characters. I've seen people who are when people like to play gender-swapped characters, they often have the two archetypes. And I was mentioning this the other day, or earlier today, actually. Whereas, like, there's often two archetypes for people who are lonely that play the opposite gender. There's there's the virtuous character. Like I said, I did this in high school, right?
Yeah.
But there's the virtue character. Like, you're playing basically a living saint. The epitome of virtuous womanliness. You know, is basically not a woman, but she is. She's an unattainable, perfect woman that doesn't do anything that a woman can do that you would find horrible, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is that virginal woman that you will marry one day. You know, that's her. You'll find her, and she's there.
Oh, God,
she'll carry a magic sword too.
Oh, wow.
That's like the
I
old.
hope not until that part. That would be.
I remember seeing an old meme, just to segue. There's an old meme on the internet where it was a picture of like an anime girl with a sword, right? And it was hot girls and magic swords because you'll never have either.
Wow. Nice.
But yeah, so
Wow.
but yeah, you have this virginal
Cut
character,
deep.
but then you have the other one, right? Like if you just got a nut out real bad and you don't want a waifu, you just want someone you could like just wreck, you usually will play like a total slut. Like just a complete, like, you enter the bar, it's like, I find a man, I just like flash a titty and we're gonna go up there and
Because he's a man and men do
yeah,
that.
and men do that. They just like attack anything. And, like you see a little cleavage and they just go hog wild.
That's a little freaking toxic.
A little bit toxic, but whatever. This is the Delirium engine, not the Hugbox Chronicles. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
We're fine. But like, I find that these two sort of characters kind of they happen, and you can sort of gauge whether a player is kind of feeling real lonely based on the on the gender swapped character that they kind of play. It's not always the case, obviously. Some people are a little bit more serious about it, and they try to put more thought into it. But you often, especially with less experienced sort of playing, they will produce one of these two weird archetypes, which is, the total party slut who's like, yeah, let's do it, I'll just kill that guy. Like, just the 10 on the crazy meter and the 10 on the hot meter.
Like, right.
And it's just like, step into the bar, you know,
how do you kill the ogre?
do a lot of coke and just bang everybody in the bar. It doesn't matter if it's the grizzled old sailor in the corner. We're just good. We'll just do it. Doesn't matter. And, or they come into the bar, everyone eyes them up, and they're just like, you know, they don't even think about something so debase.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
How could you even possibly mention the idea of maybe doing something so horrible?
Yeah, fading to black.
All
Women
right,
never
time to pull
fade
out
to
the-
black.
Nope.
the book
Never.
Never.
And not my character.
Oh, jeez.
She won't succumb.
Time to bring
She's
out the book
saving
of erotic
herself for the
fantasy.
perfect me.
Oh,
man, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, so what do you guys think? Like, is this sort of fantasy fulfillment thing a good time to play female characters? I know this is sound like I'm setting you up for a no, but is that a good idea? Is that like makes a character memorable and enjoyable? Like, I kind of still do it because when I want to draw pretty girls and I have a good excuse to do it, you know, like that's what I play.
It depends on what you're playing, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like if you're going for that kind of thing.
What if I'm playing like some masochistic butcher?
Well, then,
Kind of like the name guy. Let's talk. You know, Joseph Daisies or whatever his name is, Peter Daisy. Can Patricia Daisy? Can I play Patricia Daisy or whatever? Or
Well-
wasn't it Leonard?
I don't know.
no, it was like Mike or something. It
Whatever.
was an M name.
I know it was Daisies.
Yeah.
Let's go Patricia Daisies.
Patricia
forever.
Daisies.
So Patricia Daisies, is Patricia Daisies going to be a good character? Just because she's a woman? Like, would she be better than Peter Daisies? Or would it be better to make, like, non-binary Peter Daisies?
That's a hard question.
Who's a better character, Peter or Patricia Daisies?
Well,
Just off the top of your head. Like, just thinking of the stereotypes in your mind.
The name Patricia does have a better
for
ring
like
to it.
a mass murdering butcher?
Yeah. Like, yeah, I kill people. Like, the name is shit. We already established that last
the
episode.
serial killer.
If you
Yeah,
go
I kill people with brute violence.
Okay, if you go with the more slutty archetype, I can kind of see it working.
Why? Oh my goodness!
Because
why?
10 on the crazy scale, man.
Okay, so 10. So, but are we
Excess.
adding are we adding an emotional attachment, like almost a sexual attachment to the killing now? Is that what makes it a better feminine character?
I wouldn't necessarily say so.
This
no.
is like the misogyny channel right now, in a sense. We should have really brought a woman in on this.
Yeah,
Oh,
that might
whatever.
have been a good idea.
Next episode, 3 men discuss both genders.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what? I don't believe in that horse crap anyway. Like, you can have 3 men discussing both genders without a problem. Just,
Yeah.
It was just funny to think about it in a second, like the way people might look in on it.
No, 'cause
Just
I've
pouring
seen-
gas on the fire.
That's fine. This
Well,
episode was
eventually-
going to be inflammatory. We put this... Never mind. People can figure out what's playing in the background just for troll reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the thing is, like, I've seen a lot of games over, like, I've been playing D&D for, like, 21 years.
That's nearly as long as I've been alive.
How young are you? Jeez.
I'm-
Actually, let's not.
Yeah, I
reveal
don't know
that
if
on
I
air.
should answer
All right.
that.
Doc's age. Come on, let's do it. Seems good.
But I've seen a lot of people play, and I think maybe it's a little bit of a thing about beginning characters, but I find most people play the gender that they are.
Yes.
And in some ways, it's a representation of themselves. I've played a lot of characters, and I like to branch away from myself and, try something different and all that. But it does make me wonder if there's an element of people's own perspectives of sexuality that bleeds into it. Because you do have a point that how people behave in the game, there's not necessarily a focus on making a mentally healthy character. Sometimes it is a weird sort of outlet, and the question is, how far off the rails does it go?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yes, someone plays like a high charisma character, they like to think that they're charming and a flatterer and that they're going to get flattery back. And the question is, does that actually have to do with something deeper? Is this actually being used as an outlet? Personally, I'd like to think that I don't use it that way. But it might be the way it is. I mean, after all, how can something come from nothing? You brought up, every character being a facet, or at least maybe not even a facet, maybe the opposite of yourself in some way. So the question is then,
I say,
could-
what
how
would you
could
find attractive or repulsive?
well, how could
Basically.
you bring something from nothing? So any personality you bring forth has to come from somewhere. It's going to come from inside your head.
Yeah.
Now we're navigating some pretty dark labyrinths there.
Yeah, but okay. That's all well and good to be like, yeah, it comes from my head and sort of my personal gender biases. But we're not talking about everybody's personal gender biases.
No.
We're talking about what might make... What's sort of at least what we can determine might be the truth of what is a better character. What characters are better as females and what characters are better as males?
I don't think it's a matter of class or anything like that. I think it comes down
There's
to...
gotta be something.
If
Else
it-
you wouldn't pick it.
Well, yeah, if a character would be more memorable because of their gender, or sometimes because the gender doesn't matter, right? That sometimes their achievements or name or other characteristics speak for themselves. But at which point, it's people making a point.
Yeah.
So maybe if it enhances the character in some way, if it's something that makes that character special,
And that's the question. What gender would make a character special in what situation? Like, what would be a character archetype or whatever that would be better served as a female than one served as a male? Or vice versa.
There really isn't one.
oh, I could think of one.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say somebody's playing a warlock. The general idea is they want to be kind of creepy, right?
Okay.
You're worshipping some dark eldritch power in exchange for terrible gifts, dark gifts, and all that.
Yeah.
I think being unexpected, playing a woman, would make it more disturbing to people.
That you're just playing a witch.
And that's
That's
a
not
stereotype.
exactly. It's not unexpected
Where
or
does the
disturbing.
stereotype come from?
I don't know, 17th century Europe.
Well, I'm saying that if it's something that has appeared in literature, in movies, in different media and stories over and over and over again, it's part of that collective psyche.
Yeah,
People have an image in their mind.
yeah.
So is that not a more memorable character?
It's hard to say.
Truth be told, I'm really hoping that the answer to all this is that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that would be my answer. It,
All right,
it doesn't really matter.
let's try to change track then. When you want to play a female character,
Okay.
okay? What options or what character traits do you pick to make a more realistic female character?
Like
Complicated relationship with her mother.
that's most females, right? Stepping off that burning pillar.
Complicated relationships with their father.
Well,
That's a
I
red
don't-
flag, everybody.
yeah.
If
that's
if
red
you're
flags.
fading to black with a woman and she wants you to call her daddy, you should probably step off.
I'll be honest. It actually
Bring the lights
creeps me
back
out.
up.
I'm sure it does.
No.
That's a red flag, and I'm sure it works the other way around. Ladies, if you're
He
ever with
calls
a
you
gentleman
mommy.
and the gentleman wants you if he wants to call you mommy, or I guess if he's like, no, you need to call me daddy, maybe that's a red flag too.
Might I suggest BDSM instead?
Much more mainstream.
No, but
But no, like I said, what traits you're playing a female character? What traits are
Jesus, dog.
produce a better female character? Like
Nothing
what? What do you?
well, I'm a bit biased in that one.
Well, what makes you a better female character? What do you? Okay, let's start simple. What do you do when you decide you're playing a female character? What do you do?
Well, usually I decide on the character first.
Yeah, okay, but you've made your female character and you've decided on it and you've decided to make her female. Why?
Yeah.
Think back to like all the female characters you've played and all the male characters you played. What is the difference between these two characters? What have you chosen? Why? Why have you chosen these things? Just gut? You rolled a die? Oh, 50-50? Whatever. We'll figure it out from there.
Actually, that would be fun, but
Yeah, that could
No,
be.
no.
That's what I've done. Like, I do it, but then I'll create traits for the character. It's like, oh, they're a woman. Now I'm going to play them like a woman. What does that mean?
well, I'm a bit biased in that one because
Doesn't matter. I don't give a shit about your bias.
I
Nobody
know.
cares about your bias.
I
Just say
know.
the thing.
Generally, when I play a female character, it's because I want to see more strong female characters in the world. So when I play them, I haven't actually played like a weak female character before.
I have. It was interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah. She couldn't fight worth shit. Sorry for the swearing.
I don't necessarily mean like, fighting power. I mean personality-wise.
Like, yeah. I no, she was scared.
That's-
Everything.
Was this the spider girl?
Yeah. The Drider, the
That's-
half
Oh,
spider
yeah, that's hilarious.
monster was scared of things, of fighting. Didn't want to go.
Yeah,
The
but see,
healer.
there's
She
juxtaposition
made
there.
sure everyone else stayed alive, but like I don't fight. I'm scared of like the darkness.
That's a pretty interesting character, though.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
thought it would be interesting to kind of take the monsters, like a big scary thing that you would be like, wow, that thing's gonna kill me, and they'd be like, have a flower. I don't want to hurt people.
Yeah, like a total expectation, like a reversal of your expectations.
Yeah, I remember at one point, like a kid came up to my character. It's like, we want to play with you. Is that okay? He's like, yeah, let's go. Like the big scary monster thing is playing with kids.
yeah.
like little web string games.
I actually like the idea of that character. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, the game kind of died out really quickly. It was sad, but anyway.
I could see that working even though as a male character. So I guess what Mekhalikhar's asking is why make them female?
Well, Driders are generally female, but
So like setting.
yeah. Well, it's more like
I'm pretty sure they're actually generally male.
No.
Isn't supposed to be like a punishment from Loth or something? Or?
That depends on the story you go by. But like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
In this game, we were saying they're female. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
but it was
This is really hard to put my finger on.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of inhibitions going on here. Can't just break it down. But okay,
Well, it's hard to break down something that's really just
ephemeral. But I'm gonna tell.
Yeah.
I suspect there are huge differences. There's a big difference, and it's just as boys, we're real shitty at explaining those differences because they're not the most comfortable things to say. I have a theory. And I'm going to go into this now because I mentioned I foreshadowed it earlier.
yeah.
I don't think anybody who is a male ever really plays a female character. I think none of them are female. I think they're all male. Sure, you reskin them and give them a set of tits, but they're all men. You're just playing men. The beacon of virtue woman, that's a dude. That's a dude that isn't just banging everybody.
He's a nice guy.
You're 10 on the crazy scale as a total slut. That's just a dude who goes to the bars to pick up. You're just playing a dude every time. What are you doing as an adventurer? You're going out. You're taking exorbitant risks with your own life, right? Completely ignoring what may be your future. Awesome. And you are. You're hoping for a return, right? This isn't a feminine trait. Like, statistically,
Well,
it's not a feminine trait. The fact that you're even an adventurer, the odds of a woman being an adventurer are very low. It'd be almost nil.
Maybe in a fantasy setting,
Well,
sure.
and that's the
but,
thing. We're playing in a fantasy setting, right?
True.
So obviously we always like, yeah, of course, women they're all playing there. But all the women, I'm telling you, are probably just men with a reskin. Just think about it. And I'll bet you a nickel, all the women who play men, because I know some lady gamers that they'll play men, they're just playing women. They're just playing themselves. They're playing women. In high school, we had all these women that loved to play femboys. And they loved their femboys. Oh my goodness, they drew them all the time,
They're so
all their little
pretty.
femmy boys, and they're super beesh. Like they love those guys, but they're just women. They didn't, they adventured, but they adventured and stuff, so maybe they weren't. But like, I'm not gonna say that no women adventure. I think they had a lot of feminine traits attached to them, and that's just because they were women. And even the character in one of the games that Swampy's running. I would argue that character is very feminine. Very, very feminine. But for reasons that are not positive. Like it's a lot of negative traits that you would attach to women. And I don't want to get too far into it, but it's a very feminine character. And I think it's just even though she's playing a man, that man is definitely a woman. It's just a reskinned woman.
Yeah, but isn't that in a way how people generally are? Because you think about what's a masculine or feminine trait, and I mean you can look at history. 1/3 of the gladiators were women.
Okay.
So you could say, okay,
Is that true? Where is that?
Yeah. Oh, Google it. Look it up.
Google it. All right, let's Google it. 1/3 of the gladiators were women.
Alrighty.
We're gonna check it
doing
out.
Research.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. Why not? Other than that, we're just gonna stammer.
Well, and the thing is, you could say that these things are stereotypical male traits, but it's more saying that's a bit of a gradient than, because you could say things like adventurousness, But plenty of women are adventuresome, even so more so than men. Even aggression is not necessarily a male exclusive trait. I mean, there's been studies that show that women are just as aggressive, if not more so.
Yeah, they just go about it differently.
So, under female gladiators, on the first page, which is tribunes and triumphs.org, gladiators, female gladiators, the Romans constantly looked for novelties to display to their gladiatorial games. Female gladiators provided an unusual distraction from the male gladiators. That doesn't sound like, you know, the women were all on there being all like, yeah, man, gladiators, that's what we want to be. Or, man, we need some women gladiators in here to bring it up to parity.
Well,
This sounds like bearded ladies. And bearded ladies were extremely popular wherever they went back in the day because, you know, they were a novelty. You had them serving bar and stuff like that. I remember watching stuff about that.
I don't think anyone really wanted to be a gladiator, to be fair.
Oh, no, actually, most people volunteered.
Really?
You got a lot of fame, a lot of glory. It's
Wealthy
like being an athlete,
Roman
because
women.
Yeah,
the
but
whole
she-
idea of gladiators fighting to the death wasn't really a thing. They would give each other flesh wounds, and it was about playing up the fight. It basically was WWE.
Yeah, but, like, we're talking about... What century is this, Rome?
Oh, this is interesting.
Flesh
Wealthy
wounds will kill
women,
you.
wealthy Roman women, patricians who fought as female gladiators. What would motivate wealthy women to undertake the role of female gladiator? Tacitus, 56-17, who was a senator and a historian of the Roman Empire, wrote that many ladies of distinction, however, and senators disgraced themselves by appearing in the amphitheater. Annals, I guess that's XV, so that'd be 15.32. These women gladiators did not fight for money. They already had money. These women might have wanted attention, excitement, thrills, and notoriety, but they must have had permission from their male guardian. As long as the women did not receive a participation fee, they would be exempt from the stain of infamia, which was a legal disability attached conscripted gladiators, actors, and prostitutes. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so I don't know exactly how accurate this specifically is, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt.
So, saying that women would fight for thrill more so than glory?
Yeah, I think that's what it said.
Well, yeah, instead of
But
money, it's
didn't we
about
say something like
notoriety.
that earlier though? That's almost like an emotional attachment to something that, like, this is
Well,
like a
all
selfish
humans-
attachment.
All humans are motivated by emotions.
Yeah,
However blunt they may be.
yeah, but like,
What would be a female emotional attachment?
so either a novelty or it looks like, from what I was reading from that site, and this is obviously the most basic research you could ever do. You know, it almost looks like the women gladiators were either brought on as like it's like the women's WWF league. Nobody really pays attention to it, but it's kind of fun sometimes to watch the women go at it.
Yeah.
Like, how many female WWF people do you know? There is a full women's league, I might add.
Yeah.
Well, I don't...
Exactly.
WWE,
Yeah,
period.
but can you name at least 3 wrestlers?
No.
That's a lie.
That's not a lie. I
It is
don't
a lie.
WWE, period.
The Rock is one.
Oh, yeah, I guess he
Oh
is,
yeah,
isn't
yeah. There's one. Hulk Hogan. That's another one.
he? Okay.
China.
You don't remember Hulk Hogan?
It's a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll take you at your word that you don't remember 3 wrestlers. That's a little shocking. But anyway, sure.
I don't focus on it.
But,
It's
like,
not a thing.
Yeah, there were women there, and like they said, a novelty. And the other one were like thrill seekers who were doing it for like their own personal thrills because they didn't have to.
Well, yeah. I'm sure there were
And then
many
they got a
male
special
gladiators on the
special
same role.
dispensation from the government, basically saying that they're not prostitutes.
Well, no, that's saying if you take the fee, you're counted as an entertainer. If you don't take the fee, you're not.
Yeah.
You're just doing it for funsies.
Yeah.
Oh, there
Which
you
is
go.
kind of
Okay.
weird. But
So they didn't take the fee.
I'm sure there were plenty of men who didn't take the fee either.
Yeah, but in this case, they didn't want to be labeled as like an entertainer. They didn't want to be labeled with
Conscripted,
that.
gladiator, actor, or prostitute.
Yeah.
That's
Why
kind
would
of
you need a fee for being an actor?
Well, here it's actually pretty funny the way that history looks at it. Like even in ancient Egypt, it was considered if you were a professional actor, right?
Okay.
You were forbidden from testifying in court.
I can see that.
It kind of makes sense, but the whole time people have had bizarre relationships to entertainers as a general whole throughout history. I mean, even now we have idols
Because they're professional liars.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like we don't want to like them, but we do.
But okay, going back on topic here.
Yeah.
All right,
that's,
so
that's
we've
a
got
good idea.
we've got lady gladiators. We've established that lady gladiators are a thing. Now, were they as good or better as the male counterpart gladiators? Whatever. Probably they were just as entertaining. Let's say whatever. Why is it that we had to look up lady gladiators on the internet to even see that they existed? And I'll bet you a nickel you didn't know right from the get-go. There's, oh yeah, lady gladiators, that was totally a thing. You probably saw it on the wiki or whatever at one point and be like, wow, that's interesting.
I know. I used to read a lot of books as a kid.
Yeah, and you picked it up from the book.
Yeah,
like,
which
wow,
is
there
basically what
But,
people
like-
used to call the internet.
what a wild, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, you wouldn't have thought of it originally that, like, there would be even lady gladiators.
No, I was surprised to find out, for example, when they dig up, battlefield graves, in Gaul, that, a lot of those people, soldiers, are women.
Yeah, well,
you assume
when you're
it's armies
hard-pressed-
of men.
No,
But-
when you're hard-pressed in war and you don't have enough people, you often conscript the other 50% of the population to do some battling.
Yeah.
It happens.
Russia
Yeah, but
did
we-
that
That's
in World
usually
War
how you
II.
lose your civilization,
this
or the
idea-
last-ditch effort before you do to
Yeah,
another
but
one.
there's this
Well, I mean-
idea of all male armies is actually pretty new. This is, the past few hundred years kind of thing.
I don't know, man. I think evolutionary biology, like evolution, would have said differently. The more women you use in battle, because women are more valuable than men. Sorry, boys, it's just true.
It's true. If you had
Women are more
100
valuable
people,
than men. You try your best not to get rid of them. If you have to get rid of them, it's a sign of a weak nation.
not
if you have to get rid of
necessarily.
your women, well,
Plenty of women are great
how hard
fighters.
it doesn't matter about the fucking good fighters. It's what matters is the fact that they can produce babies. All
Yeah,
right.
okay.
One man can bust a nut in 6 women and make 6 babies. Right. One woman takes 9 months to make one baby. Guess
Yeah.
who's more valuable? The one who can make a baby, not the one who can bust a nut.
Well, that's why it's women and children first.
Well, but that's the point.
Yeah.
It's not women and children first. Oh yeah, but we're conscripting an army. Let's just get the women too.
Yeah.
No,
It's not necessarily a sign of desperation. That's the thing.
I'm telling you it is, because those countries, the nations that do that, they're ones that die.
Well,
How can they win?
I wouldn't say Russia died.
Russia had a last ditch effect. Like that was a country that was basically about to lose.
No.
They had a huge swath of land, and they had lost
India's not gone either.
They had lost a good deal of their stuff. General Winter was the only thing that saved their butt. It wasn't the fact that they conscripted ladies. Alright?
Well-
And yeah, I get it. Like there was like the night witches or whatever they were called in Russia, the ones with the gliders and shit, and there was the snipers. There's all
Yeah.
that other shit that they
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
and that's
And
awesome.
general soldiers, yeah.
And that's awesome. Frickin' Call of Duty 5 should probably be taking goddamn notes. But
That would be fantastic.
Battlefield 5, but yeah.
whatever, I don't care. I don't play that
All
garbage.
of Battlefield
That's
8.
all trash. It's all just stupid games that suck. Why people
Well-
keep buying the next one again and again, I don't understand. And they probably won't this time because for some reason the British now have awesome women World War II characters, and you're like, what? Why don't
Well,
you just
they
use the
did.
Russians? Oh wait, we can't do that because Russia's evil. Because Vladimir Putin's in charge, the de facto leader of the planet.
Okay. Just no. Super President Putin is not the de facto leader of the planet.
You don't think so?
No.
You think it's the Trumpster?
God, no.
I think the
I,
dragon has
I
no
think
brain.
I think Putin is the de facto leader of the planet.
I think
frankly.
currently the planet is burning and trying to decide which one is which.
I
That's
think-
probably because all the de jure leaders don't realize it.
yeah.
I think
Or they
if
don't
people
want
look
to.
at Putin, he would be the perfect example of toxic masculinity. The guy is obsessed with his image.
Yeah.
Obsessed.
It works great.
Yeah, it does.
At least he can do some push-ups, unlike half the other world leaders.
Yeah. See if Merkel can do a push-up. I doubt it.
Bet she has a good
Even
right
though
to-
she's been in power as long as him.
No, that's true. That's true. A little bit less shenanigans, though.
That's political, because for some reason gender discussions become political.
Yeah, forget this. Forget
Uh,
Europe.
It
Fuck
does.
Europe.
So,
All right.
open me another one of these hard root beers.
They're delicious.
Let me talk to you about my lived experience, because we're on the topic of gender, and this seems to be what we do when we're talking about gender. What?
It almost overflowed again.
Okay.
Keep going.
So, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, I'm playing a female character right now named Gogora, who's a barbarian. Okay? And sometimes, for the most part, I play this character as a dude. This is like a straight-laced, like, I am a war leader, I don't put any emotions really into it, it's just like, show me the facts, what's the solution, let's get, Sometimes I have to stop myself and be like, no, whoa there, Brian, you're playing a lady. Okay?
Good job
You
doxing yourself.
everybody knows my name, alright? And we've already established this episode that the magical... The
magical dox thing
the
is not a
dox
thing.
thing is
Okay.
not a thing. But fair enough. Fair enough. This is what we do here.
Yeah. Just gotta point it out.
I have to stop myself and be like, no, I gotta act more like a lady. And to me, what that means is be a little bit flirtier. Because women are a lot... Like, I find that women are very much into interpersonal relationships. And I don't mean like, let's get laid, boys. I mean like generating emotional bonds with characters, generating emotional bonds with people. Whereas I find the masculine traits of a character is a character that generates business bonds. We're a party. We're a team. Let's work together for a goal. All right? And, if that all works great, then maybe we're a band of brothers and we will work together to all lift ourselves up. Right?
Okay.
And that side, like on that side, that's a masculine thing, but the feminine thing is more like, and this is me just like trying to get into it, like
Managing each other's emotions.
or no, acting out with emotion, more than acting out with a business sense or like with a practicality in mind.
Yeah.
You're a bit
There are
old school,
more
man.
emotions than anger and laughter, and those emotions are generally feminine. Male emotions are like, ha ha ha, I like fighting, I like happiness, things that make me happy are good.
What about crushing a Nui?
Crushing ennui, well, that's a malaise, and I wouldn't categorize that as masculine or feminine, but, honestly, I would probably say that, like, if a guy was unable to be like manly, like it wasn't able to be productive or help anybody or do whatever the hell that men do, crushing malaise would be the emotion that would hit them. If women were incapable of socializing with other people, incapable of interacting with anybody, and just left in a tower alone, then they would probably get crushing malaise.
So, would you say then that you
Fuck's
think
sakes, really?
masculinity is largely defined by function?
Maybe.
It's
That's
about
how
being
I
useful.
sort of define it. Like,
I mean,
guys
not
don't
to
need
get too
friends,
weird
they
about
just
it.
need to win.
Well, not to get too weird about it, but I do.
Women
find
don't
that,
need to win, they just need friends. Because for women, friends are the victory. For men, the victory is more important than the friends. You got friends that'll help you achieve victory, that's sweet too. But
That's
it's about primary versus secondary concerns, right?
Well,
And
then you're
that's-
saying it comes back down to sex. Then prove your value as a man, whereas a woman, your value is already secured. It's about your place in society.
Sure. That might be the case.
That's
that
basic.
might be it, but like these are very like, so I would say deep-seated concepts that like obviously we're not like clinical psychologists or freaking gender experts.
If
or anything
Swampy
like
was
it,
here,
like-
he could bring up the terror management theory.
Swampy brings up a lot of things. He has a Rolodex of psychological terms and the people that use that psychological term.
Jeez.
And it's good. But
He's a bit more knowledgeable on the subject than us, I presume.
Jesus. What are you doing?
I don't know.
Is it
So
delicious?
just for the listeners, I'm drinking these hard root beers from like a bottle, and it's exploded, well opened, and I've drunk it twice. It just explodes. So there's like root beer everywhere.
With foam. It's
With
not
foam, it's
literally
like-
exploding.
It's brutal. Like I don't even know what's happening.
You're sloshing it too much when you drink. You're releasing all the carbon dioxide.
It just likes what you're
I
saying.
don't know.
If you just slam it back, it's going to overflow.
I didn't slam it back, but
well,
anyway.
you're doing something, and that's the only thing I can think
That's
of.
the problem. See, we're in the same problem with this stupid root beer as we're in here. There's a difference between men and women. All right? There are traits that are different that we are not putting our finger on because either we're too dumb or too timid to say it. Okay?
Well, the difference between men and women in this term, I think, is more of a social
Well,
thing than an actual difference in terms of whether or not I have tits.
yeah, I don't care about that part because it doesn't matter. You can have men with tits too. They're really big and fat. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they got estrogen levels
What
or
about
whatever.
my character? Wilhelm, would you consider him to be a feminine character?
Why?
He's all about his friends.
Is he?
Yeah. It's never been about any particular achievement or goal.
What have you done? Like, what has your character accomplished and or done that... Like, as far as I understand, he's a con artist.
He was.
Yeah, well, he was.
And reformed
And then
himself.
and then he just shoots people. Like, what have we done? Like, would Wilhelm the woman have fought the god Karelen and died? Or would Wilhelm the woman have not taken the risk because their life is too valuable?
You don't think self-sacrifice is a feminine trait?
No, because women are more valuable and they know it.
What about mother?
What about a mother? You
Mother
were just
bear
gonna
is a
randomly fight a god because why? You don't have a child?
thing. You are my children.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Like that's like yeah, women getting mom strength and like lifting the car and that kind of thing. Like yeah, sure, that's a thing, I'm sure. But just random D&D characters doing random huge risks that generate their life. This is not like these. I don't see that as a very feminine thing. Like there are women with masculine traits, and that's fine too. Like that's normal. But the question isn't whether or not men and women have traits that intermingle with each other. Yes, they do. Fact.
What's the general trend?
What choices, like what kind of a character is best represented by a woman? What kind of character is best represented by a man? What kind of character is best represented by being neither? Or being one of the 100 million choices in the grand spectrum of genders, if you're into that kind of nonsense.
Well, I think you actually nailed something in saying that women are more social. Saying that a female character that's more socially minded does seem a bit more natural, doesn't it?
Well, to me it does.
But I don't know if that necessarily makes them a better character, but it could, actually.
Well, if you're making a socially minded character, like, okay, let's say you make a character who is... I see. And this is why I say a lot of times, too, that adventurers are all men. They're all men even if they've been skinned female, for the most part. Because, like, try to think of, like, oh, I want to make a female adventurer. Okay, well, you end up with either, like, the katana-wielding, like, super Asian or whatever, that, like, can kill 10 men with one blow. Like, that, you know the horrible stereotype in all those movies, where it's like, you know, I'm 5'0" and weight no, and like, all the 600-pound men can't touch me because I'm just too strong. Or whatever, right? Or you end up with, you know, like, you end up with, like, basically a male Super Rambo who's basically untouchable, or you end up with a character that, you know, doesn't do anything like that, and we're playing Ally McBeal. Like, to like, crush my own age, I guess.
Ally
I don't
McBeal
get
must
that
be a
reference.
warlock.
It's like
a
a lawyer
terrible
show
TV
about
show.
women. Let's see, Sex in the City is old too. I don't even know. I don't watch TV shows. Like, what's like a lady show that's like good? That's all like about that kind of nonsense.
Orange
Met
is
Your
the
Mother?
New Black?
Sure, Orange is the New Black. Fine, because that's all prison girls, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you're playing Orange is the New Black. And those are all probably pretty vicious women, I'm sure, some of them. And that you know what? Almost every character in Orange is the New Black, I guarantee, is probably good adventuring stock.
Probably.
Like, that's
I can see it.
Yeah,
I
but that's
haven't
'cause
watched a
adventurers
single
end up in
episode
prison
of it.
half the time.
Yeah.
Adventurers are just vagrants anyways. But the idea of taking risks, winning the day, getting the big treasure, that does depend on the campaign. Because, if you're... depending on the setting and the system even. Because there's like things like Vampire the Masquerade where might not be any battles at all. There's some campaigns and adventures that are a lot about adventure.
Vampire the Masquerade is about sex. I'm sorry. That game is basically ERP the game. Not 100%, but it
Vampires
is.
drink
Vampires
blood.
represent sexuality.
Yeah, they do.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay? Look at all the pictures in like Vampire the Masquerade. They're all pointing to this idea that it's all about power and sexuality. And being like just a huge super charmer. And sometimes you could be crazy too, because you could be Malkavian, but that game is just it's like one hair short of ERP. Unless you're playing like the Dark Ages version, in which case all you're doing is running around with a sword doing ag.
What's egg?
Aggravated damage.
Oh,
It's part of the system.
whatever.
Okay.
Okay, but
Basically, there's bludgeoning, which doesn't really do anything. It's essentially you did nothing, but we're gonna give you numbers anyway. There's lethal, which is like I hit you with a sword. I generally do lethal, and then there's aggravated, which is like you can't regenerate from this because I basically dissected you.
Okay.
A sword would hit you for lethal because it makes a small stab wound. A rotary saw would do aggravated because getting cut with a rotary saw is probably you being cut in half,
Fair.
and that's it. So that's all that's my explanation of aggravated damage for people who didn't know.
because sex, sexuality, gender, violence, these things are all very much so linked. Not only in like human psyche, but as far as entertainment itself goes. There's a reason why there's tits and gunplay movies, right? It's about those primal things that you're touching on,
Yeah.
and it's very hard to take one away from the other. I mean, very active violence itself in a D&D game, you're talking about conquest, and immediately because I said sex before that, people start thinking about sex. And sex should not be a conquest thing. It's not. But yet, there's a human mentality about it. We look at winning as a matter of gender to say that
Well, hold on
victory
there.
is
Hold on there. Sex is not a conquest thing. I maybe I'll disagree with that.
Okay.
Like you're talking about touchy feely, tender. We should all get along, kind of thing. But no, guys want to pick the best mate. Women want to pick the best mate.
Yeah.
They both want the best mate. Everybody does. Okay. Women discriminate against men because they have the ability to make these choices, and men try to be, or if they are good enough, they discriminate against women. Well, they probably do, and they also try to be the best so they can get picked by the best woman.
Well, and vice versa.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Just look at the makeup
Jazz.
industry. Like that's not for men. That's for women. Like that's
Yes.
for them to beat each other up over getting the
Yes.
best man.
Their sense of violence is a matter of competition. Violence isn't, a thing linked to sex directly. Violence is a way for people to prove themselves as valuable mates. You know.
But women don't need to engage in violence because
Sure they do.
that's not
Social
what makes them
violence.
about. It's not violence. That's just social competition. Makeup's
what's
not
the difference?
violence.
Well, of course
What's
not.
the difference?
Well, what's the difference between violence and
Evisceration. That's
competition?
the difference.
Okay, so permanent competition.
Broken bones is the difference. But I know what you're saying. Like, yes, both are in competition with each other for the other one. So it's a conquest. You find the right mate that's just like, ooh, yeah, that's like my number. That's a
Yes,
10
but you're
on
not
my scale.
conquering that
Yeah.
person. You're conquering
Yeah,
your
but that's a
potential
conquest.
rivals.
But that's a conquest.
Okay. If we're gonna phrase it that way, then yes, I'd agree with that.
And the women picks a man who's just like, hell yeah. And if they don't think that man is a good conquest, they'll move up. They'll trade up.
Women have to work too to get a mate. They do.
A good one, yeah.
Yeah, a good one.
Like, I don't know about you, but every woman that I've ever encountered always has a line of suitors. You have to beat that line of suitors in order to win.
Oh, doesn't everybody?
No.
Every man doesn't have a line of suitors.
No.
Okay.
I wish I had a line of suitors. That'd be amazing. But I don't.
Potentials then.
There's always potentials. Like, yeah, if I put some effort into it and, try to woo them, it works out. But
well, and that's the
suitors.
same thing.
Suitors are people that you could literally go like, beep, beep, beep. Hey, bro, could you give me a ride to XYZ or buy me this thing and bring it to me? And it's like, okay, boop, 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 and then they'll come.
Well, then that's just men being stupid.
Well, yeah.
No, that's men
stupid.
being suitors. Women go like the woman or whatever. The mate, the one who has the suitor, is taking advantage of their suitor, and that suitor will be.
That's a pretty nasty behavior then, if you're going to take advantage of someone because they like you, or they're attracted to you, or whatever.
But that's part of the game.
I suppose that could be a game, but that's.
I
don't think that's sex. I think
not
that's
D&D.
manipulation.
That's not D&D. Is that a feminine trait? Unless we're saying that that's a feminine trait, and good female characters are ones that manipulate men into doing what they want.
Let's not step on that landmine.
Okay, so let's not say that. No. So this episode has been a lot of us not knowing exactly what's going on, but we did unkernel the nugget of maybe women are more social and men are more
victory oriented,
like
self-proof value,
like not social, but more interested in interpersonal relationships. Men are more interested in a pragmatic relationships. Like that's not to say that that neither can have other ones. Like the women don't women don't shy away from pragmatic relationships, and men don't shy away from interpersonal relationships. But the things that are valued more by each one.
Oh, if I had to say something, I'd say that men are more inhibited in their emotional relationships. And I don't just mean, because you don't hug and kiss your friends. Women are a lot faster to reveal things, to talk about what's happening in their daily life. Men don't look for that kind of support, and it may be a cultural thing.
That's because men are expected to fix the problem.
Men expect themselves to fix the problem, or else they don't feel like
men expect other men to fix the problem. If you come to me going, I can't figure it out. I just can't anymore.
Well, it's not because I wanted to say
I'd be like, nut up.
Well, yeah, like if I came to you with a problem,
yeah,
it wouldn't be because I wanted to just talk about the fact that I have a problem. I would be asking you for help.
Yeah, that's the difference. I was like, that's the old relationship trope. Sometimes women just want to vent. They don't want you to solve anything. They just want to tell you that they have a problem.
Well, I don't want to vent. That's a waste of my time.
But they do.
I know.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the difference. There's a difference right there. We know that difference exists. I've experienced it. You've experienced it. Everyone's experienced it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those warning signs that if you ever read a freaking Cosmo or whatever, it's like, man, guys,
don't try to fix your problem.
they cray. Just let them say their piece and just walk away. Say you understand and go. They don't want you to fix it. They don't want you to do anything. They just want to vent and get it over with it.
Because then that's saying that the problem isn't the problem. The problem is how they feel.
Yeah, but you don't. The trap that you fall into is you always say, "I can fix this." Let me the women's complaining about their friend Sue because their friend Sue's just such a bitch.
Well, maybe.
And you're just like, well, why don't you just stop hanging out with Sue? And they'll be like, "You're an idiot."
Well, maybe men would feel less overwhelmed by things.
Because all they wanted to do was vent about Sue for the day, for 5 minutes, because Sue's an idiot. And you just had to shut up and nod.
But she could be an idiot, and she still wants to be friends with her.
Yes! But, the point is I know I do it. I used to do it. I still do it. It's like, you present me with a problem, I'll try to find a solution. Stop hanging out with bloody Sue. She's an idiot. Cut her out of your life.
You called my friend an idiot. You called her that first.
Exactly. You called my friend an idiot. Why would you do that? I didn't call her an idiot. I just implied it heavily in my 15-hour rant that I just did with you.
Well, do you think men would feel less overwhelmed by life? You know, perhaps they would have less stress if they vented more?
No,
And
No?
I don't think so.
No, me
Because they
neither.
do vent. Because they do vent, but like the men vent, they just vent to themselves. They don't lay their baggage out on other people as much, and that's just the way that's the difference between interpersonal and practical relationships, right? I'm not gonna go to Grant and be like, Grant, I'm just feeling really down today. I just need to talk to someone about how down I feel. We would sit there looking awkwardly at each other for like 5 minutes before I'd be like, I'm sorry, I came, and then I'd go home.
it's okay. I'll be there for you. It's
Yeah.
alright.
It's okay.
In other news, 3 white guys just say the most stereotypical thing ever.
Well, okay, on that note, Mr. Race Baiter, let's bring race into this.
Alright.
Because for some reason, when we talk about gender, for some reason, race comes up. I don't understand
Oh.
where that's coming from.
Okay.
But okay, let's talk about race. Maybe that's easier. When is it the best time to play a specific race? Why choose anything other than human?
Stat bonus.
Stat bonuses. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Why don't you
changes
just play
specific-
humans and pick your stat bonuses whenever you want? Pick whatever stat bonus you like.
Sometimes you get a +2.
Yeah, that's what I
plus
mean.
twos are
Why
better.
don't you just take whatever stat bonuses you want?
Well,
Well, isn't
Hell,
it
why
only plus
even
ones?
roll for stats? Why don't you just pick the stats that you want for your character?
would people play something other than human? I think so, because people
I used
like
to
the
do that.
fantasy.
I used
They
to
like
not roll. I'd be like, okay, guys, we're playing to roll off 18, 16, 14, 12, 12, 10.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's a huge stat block. Yeah, but I have roll. I could do 18, 18, 18, like 19, 14, 12. Like I could just make up anything and just say I rolled it because I rolled for half an hour until I got the character I wanted. So you just make one that's marginally above fair. But
I think I'd still play one.
What
out there
race?
because I like. Different
why would you play?
cultures.
Why would you ever play a dwarf? What character would ever be better represented by a dwarf?
Oh man!
And if the theme of this whole
dwarves.
series is nothing really matters, because I remember name ended up being nothing matters. It doesn't really matter what your
As
name
long as it
is.
sounds
Well,
cool.
no,
Okay.
it did.
But
It
yeah,
was-
it did. But
was
like it was
secondary.
also like I remember in the the Dawn said it doesn't matter. And this one too. You guys mentioned it. Or at least one of you mentioned it. Oh, gender doesn't really matter. It's like, okay, well, what does matter then? All of these things put together matter. Like they create a tapestry.
Well, yes,
Right?
but you don't build a tapestry. Like, you don't take one piece and stick it on the wall and say that's a tapestry.
No.
It has to be all together.
That's right. But like you
So how
wouldn't
does
build a
it mesh?
tapestry without like you wouldn't build a rainbow tapestry without the color red.
It's weird. The best way I'd say.
But
is
you'd
that
be like,
if
oh,
it-
red's not that big a deal.
It's
You can
so
make a painting with
vague.
just blue.
Well,
It's
yeah.
so vague to say if it enriches the character.
You can make a
How?
grayscale paint.
But that's what I mean. How does it enrich the character? How does being a female enrich your character? How does being a male enrich your character? What traits are like what? How is your character better by being female? And that's the question.
It
And
isn't.
in this case, how is your character better by being a dwarf? How is your character better by being an elf? Because now we brought race into this. Because now we're race baiters.
I guess so.
I like making up cultures for different. But even then, I like doing it geographically rather than based on their races themselves. Fuck, that's a rough one.
Like,
Okay, let me give you
It's-
something to start the ball rolling.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Races in D&D, and in almost any other setting, okay, they're already pre-established cultures.
yeah.
Okay. And they have some sort of different trait. You know, orcs are warlike and brutish and violent and kind of dumb, you know. I'm not, to quote one of the best games, I am not professor of mathematics. I am world's smartest orc. All right? You get what an orc is. They're dumb. They're brutish. They like to fight. You know, they don't care if they get blown up or beat up or whatever because they'll come back. You know, elves elves culturally are, they're wispier. They're more in tune with nature, or they're more in tune with magic, depending on what kind of elf you are. You know, they're 4 feet tall, or maybe they're 6 feet tall, depending on what kind of elf you are. You know, they have all these like sort of alien fae-like traits that and they live for such a long time that when you're role playing it, you're supposed to play kind of a distant character. It's like, oh, you humans are but a flitter. You're but a flutter.
Unless you're an 80-year-old kid, yeah.
Yeah, but that's even if you're an 80-year-old kid, you've lived a lifetime and you're a child. It's like I'm just a baby and you're like an infant in comparison. Humans are hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, they come with built-in cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy to say, oh yeah, I want to play an elf because an elf comes with a sort of built-in culture. And yes, you could always just pick them for the stat bonuses, which I suspect is a lot of what people do sometimes. but those stat bonuses represent
natural.
They represent natural traits that are inherent in this culture that's been created for this race. You know, dwarves are naturally sturdy because they're naturally sturdy. So you get a con bonus because they're naturally sturdy because I wrote they were naturally sturdy. Can I say that more?
Well,
no. But that's all it is. All right? But you don't get a benefit, a bonus, for being male or female. They specifically took that stuff out. Second edition, I might add, you could only have a strength of 18/50 as a woman.
Yeah, they didn't let you get
Fun
super
fact.
strength.
You couldn't. Men were always stronger. Men could always be stronger than a woman. If you were playing a man, you could have 18/00. But if you're playing a woman, you
Yeah,
capped
you
at
could
50.
get +6. It was pretty sick.
Yeah.
Got that
But
once.
that's it. That was the only difference. I don't even think women got the +1 to charisma or anything goofy like that. Like it's just like, yep, women get slightly
They
less
can only
stats.
be half as super strong.
Yeah. But anyway, in most modern games, men and women are not different. But they are. And we know they are. So when is the best time to pick a woman or a man? Maybe it's like, because maybe you have to treat them like a different race. Maybe women, like, they're obviously not, but maybe we do. You know,
Would
elves
more
are
people
this, that, and the
play
other
female
thing.
characters if there was a stat bonus?
It would depend on what the stat bonus was. But yeah.
Well, let's say men get +1 strength, women get +1 charisma.
Okay, well then people who prefer charisma characters would probably play a woman more often.
But
Bards.
why would they do that?
Because they get the charisma bonus.
But why? Why would we give a woman more charisma? Why did neither of you push back on that? Why didn't you say women
as
shouldn't
we
get
just
more
said
charisma?
earlier-
They should get more int or more whiz because women are just so much wiser than men.
Well, wisdom's a
'cause-
matter of perception as well as willpower, and that's kind of an equidistant thing.
I'm just
charisma, if women
asking
are-
you what's the best stat for a
Okay.
woman?
Well,
Maybe this is a problem with the D&D system. Maybe women should have a stat bonus, and men should
well,
have
to
a
say
stat
that women are
bonus.
more interested in interpersonal relationships would, then in turn, well, frick, even think of special treatment because charisma is not just, how charismatic you are. It's also about how
They
other people
bleeded
react
it
to
into
you.
willpower too now, or they bled it
It's
into
part of your
willpower.
strength of personality.
Oh well, let's say skills. They get a skill bonus in persuasion. Instead of like a stat bonus, they get a skill bonus in persuasion, and men get a skill bonus in athletics.
I mean, everybody likes tits.
Yeah,
Even women.
Exactly, even women.
at least modern day women. Yeah, but there's always like a. But I'm just saying, like, is
So
this
you're saying as aesthetics go.
Like,
all I'm saying right now? Like, I'm not saying that this is what should be. I'm just saying,
yeah.
like, is this something that would make more sense? Like, D&D doesn't give any difference. It's like there's no difference between the two.
Yeah.
So when you think about it in terms of a stat,
I think-
you're like, there's no reason to change it. But
I think
and
you're
we're talking
free
about
to
something
make your
esoteric,
character
like
fit that if you
character.
want.
We're talking about the generation of your character and its personality. So, if you want to play an effeminate man, it's obviously better for you to play an effeminate man. But you played an effeminate man, so that means there's certain traits that you've defined as effeminate. So what are those traits? Because if you were to play a woman, those are the traits that are probably paramount. If you were to play a masculine woman, there's obviously traits there that you would define as masculine. So what trait, like those traits, logically
How many of
speaking,
those
would
things
better
are
serve by a man?
stereotypes? How many of those things are stereotypes?
Where do
and not
stereotypes
actually,
come from?
Yeah, but how many of them are
Culture.
actually reality?
Exactly.
people.
Well, stereotypes come from a place, all right? And I'm not saying that all stereotypes are true, right?
No, but to say
there's
men on average are stronger than women on average.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a stereotype. That's just a
So
fact.
why don't you give men an extra 5 movement speed? Because the world's fastest men are consistently faster than the world's fastest women.
the
It's
world's
not saying that there's not women who are stronger
pretty
than
much every
95% of
athlete.
men.
every athletic competition, men do better than women.
Slightly, but yes.
Yes, maybe gymnastics is not the case because women are significantly more flexible than men as they grow older.
Generally,
And,
yeah.
and I would even argue that because I'm sure that a man who devotes his entire life to being
You
flexible
see
is
Bruce
a
Lee,
freaking
holy.
superpowered flexible
Well,
master.
I mean, that's Bruce Lee again.
He was a fantastic
but like
dancer.
that's what I'm saying.
like
The way I understand it is like, and I don't want to talk about this too much into it, but a lot of the times is women generally float around, and like on the bell curve, like the women's curve is like more, it's more compressed at the average, and the men's curve is more compressed at the extremes. So there's a lot of really shitty men and a lot of really exceptional men, and not as many men in the middle on any given topic. And women all tend to just migrate into the middle. They're sort of like a lot more.
Well,
uniform?
that would be implying that there's a biological effort to weed out men.
There is. It's called women. Like that's. I don't even think if anybody disputes that, that's insane. Like that's why we are intelligent. At all. It's all
women
about
do
basically
find
trying to get
intelligence-
women to be like, ooh, that's a pretty cool guy. I think I'll stick with him
Well,
because
women
he's going to
like
make sure
strength,
that I get
but-
lots of babies.
As a general rule, yes, women do like strength, but they do value intelligence more than strength, and such.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Ideally, you get both.
Yeah. Like the old saying, the old misogynist saying.
Hey, baby, what's your favorite
The perfect
ability
man has
score?
a chocolate dick that comes money, right?
That's
This
gross.
implies a lot of things, right? Now,
I don't think that they're
I don't-
necessarily true.
Well, I don't know how true or untrue it is. What it's saying is women value security.
Okay.
But this has nothing to do with the Dungeons and Dragons game. This is now talking about the different. This is now not. It's not even talking about the differences. It's talking about what women value.
But what would a female adventurer value?
That's a good question. Would they be into the personal? I would argue that, as I said in the episode, they would be interested in the things that any normal adventurer would be into, but in a way that's selfish. They're not doing it to save their village. They're doing it because they want to.
Like I play
Now,
female
obviously,
characters on
there can be a
Dungeons
female character who's doing it to save their village because literally nobody else could do it.
then
I don't know.
But that's.
But
then
we're
it doesn't
caring
matter.
about these people.
I guess it
then it
doesn't.
literally doesn't matter. Because you could be any color under the rainbow. It
But
literally doesn't matter.
I guess that's a background thing. Like how. Take the archetype of I'm the one who has to save the village.
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
When you picture of the person walking out of the village, who do you picture? Do you picture a man walking out or a woman walking out of the village to
Could
save
go
the
either
village?
way.
Could be either way.
Exactly.
Okay, why?
Because it doesn't matter.
I think
It could be a guy or a girl.
Okay,
It all depends on who
you're
they are and
talking-
what
Alright,
their
you
skill
have a
set
choice
is.
talk about
then.
trying to save people.
Okay, the dragon has burned our village to the ground. Okay?
Okay.
And there's a warrior man,
Okay.
alright, and a warrior woman,
Yeah.
for whatever those two things mean,
Okay.
standing in front of you. Pick
Okay.
one. Who do you pick? Who has a better chance of saving the village? The man or the woman?
We're just gonna pick one.
You have to pick one. Only
based
one
on their
person can
gender?
based on what you perceive in your head right now as what a warrior man and a warrior
All right,
woman look like.
Question: is the dragon staying or leaving?
He's coming back eventually,
I'd
but
pick
it doesn't
one.
matter. Doesn't matter. The point is one person is leaving that city because they're the only person that can save it. Who is that person? Is it a man or a woman? You have a choice.
Doesn't matter.
So gender doesn't matter.
No.
So
It
what,
can be any
what
color
you're
under
saying
the
is
rainbow.
This episode is a wash because
Well-
there is no gender doesn't matter. It doesn't
doesn't-
matter at all. I can pick any character type and it's not better served by being a woman. Ever.
I don't think so because
There's no single character in the universe that is better served by being a woman.
or a man.
I'm saying a woman. Let's not confuse the things.
Okay.
There is women will never be better at anything than a man.
I disagree with that.
Oh, please tell me, what is the thing that women will be better at?
Honestly, protecting.
Protecting.
Yes.
Protecting who?
Things they care about, the people.
So, women are better.
I disagree.
You don't think that, what? Would you rather say women are more destructive?
Anyone can do anything.
Well, I would
That's
say...
the thing.
You're talking about adventurers. Adventurers are always supposed to be off the bell curve anyways. They are the weird exceptions to the rule. I mean, because let's be honest, in real life, we could all be adventurers in real life right now, but we are not going to get out of our comfortable homes and go wander off to do crazy shit looking for lost treasure.
Well,
even though there's
no money in it.
Yeah, there is. There's literally chests full of gold off the coast of fucking Florida somewhere. Sunken ships? These things actually exist.
I guess. The likelihood of finding one, though.
Yeah,
Well, that's
is
why you
very-
don't do it.
astronomically low.
That's
Exactly.
why you don't do it. But the idea
It's like
is
winning the
adventurers.
lottery.
What he's saying is adventurers are the same thing. Okay, they are the guy who are doing the astronomically low chance thing of maybe saving the city or maybe doing the other thing.
Yeah, it's
the
the
fact that
weird
the fantasy setting is being thrown in there and giving you like the fact that we can build a
It just
character
gives you
sheet
better
and all-
odds.
the fact that we can build a character sheet and we all just start the game and there's 5 of us, you know, it pollutes that idea, but that's really what's going on. You know, if adventuring was that easy, there would be no villages to go for adventurers to save because everyone would be an adventurer. Because we'd all have tons of money and we'd all have mansions filled with freaking adventurer swag.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Like it wouldn't matter. So,
Like
so the idea is adventurers are rare and they're
Like if I said to you, all right, it's the Spartan. Right now, I found there's a cave up by the old amethyst mines. Anyways, turns out that they left a safe there. A safe filled with like 200 grand. We could go up there right now, hop in Mekhalikhar's car, let's go.
Okay.
But we got to go spelunking.
I see no issue with that.
There might be hobos with axes.
we have to kill them.
Now you're adventuring.
Hobos with axes are guarding the 2,000 grand. We have to kill those hobos with axes.
Is
nobody
is there
cares if they
negative
die.
No? Okay.
Nobody cares if they die. Let's go.
Well, let's go.
We just need to take our axes and kill some
No,
hobos.
let me stop by my house. I'll pick up my gun and we'll go.
Okay, now if you were a woman, would you say yes?
I don't know that because I'm not a woman.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But do you think a woman would be like, yes, solo, her and her girlfriends are going to go kill hobos with axes?
Okay, whoa.
Okay, not,
Can we make a
not
movie?
her and her gang of dudes.
Because this would make a great movie. I would love to.
Girls, there's 200 grand in there.
Girls
we need
night
to
out.
we need to grab a bunch of machetes and stuff and go fight hobos with axes in order to get our 200 grand.
Got it.
A bunch of dudes might be like, fuck it, let's go.
It's fun.
Like you already said, yeah, sure, why not? But I just don't see.
Well, no, I don't see it either. But that's the thing. This isn't. We're not talking about real life. We're talking about a fantasy setting.
That is true.
Well, yes, okay, and that's obviously true.
So
Yes.
the
We're talking
social-
about a fantasy setting, so we make fantastical, non-realistic people.
Exactly.
So my question is though, with that said, doesn't matter. Like you already said, it doesn't matter what gender you're playing. So is really the only difference that gender plays is the kind of fan art you're drawing?
or whatever picture you find on the internet. That's generally how it goes with me.
If it's more fun, I guess.
It's easier to find fantasy girl fan art than fantasy dude fan art. So it's more
Generally.
likely that you play fantasy girls.
When I'm making a character and not playing like a game like Elder Scrolls or Fallout, like
With a character generator?
Yeah. Generally, it's harder for me to find a male image that fits the idea of what I want my character to vaguely look like or what my character to do than it is for me to find
So,
a female image
The aesthetics and the
that
art.
fits. Yeah. That's generally what the deciding factor for my
So are we saying that
character is.
women are prettier?
Well, they are.
Well, I'm saying that the internet has more of a fascination with the female form than guys, because generally guys are just brick houses.
Okay.
So it's like women are Corvettes, men are Jeeps.
Yes.
Okay.
Men are big, brick, and brutish, and girls are generally sleek, fast, and nice looking.
Except when they're not. I saw Nemesis 4. That woman's not sleek, fast, and good looking.
And that's generally what decides the sex of my character for whatever game I'm running.
Just what's more fun, what's cooler, what looks right.
It looks like this
whatever
episode
fits
is
the image of what is in my head.
looks like this episode is definitely going long. We're already an hour and a half in. So let's enter the Donjon and see what he has to say. Maybe he can
Some more
actually
gas on
sign
the
some
dumpster
light.
fire.
Okay,
Just
so
pour some gas.
So let's
maybe
see what
some
the
oil.
Don has to say. Okay, so let me see what I said to him first. Trying to build the best character most successful. Which gender choice is more successful? Which of the rules? Okay. So define other than being one monster instantly kills men so women can survive. Is there any social setting type difference, at least that I know of? Casting a spell, swinging a sword, armed with a crossbow, male and female PCs are the same. There isn't a man get +1 strength and women get +1 dex or anything to make a huge stat or roll difference. That's a good point. We already mentioned that actually, didn't we? Like, maybe women and men should have a difference. And maybe if that was the case, maybe we'd start talking about it more. We were trying to build the best character. The most successful ones are memorable, enjoyable to play, fit well in game being run, and have good stats, maybe. So, the question is, what makes a female character more memorable, and what's a male character being more memorable? I said that to the Dawn, but that's a good point.
That it doesn't make them more memorable. Maybe it's just something to remember about them.
Yeah.
Well, if your Drider had been male, he still would have been memorable.
Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Like, wouldn't a character be more memorable if they were outside of the norm? So, wouldn't the woman who's doing all the manly
Full-plate
things be
paladin
more
barbarian?
memorable? Wouldn't that be the case? So it's like a full paladin. Like it's like I am a super-powered uber barbarian.
But that might not make
That's
them more
like,
memorable.
you know-
That just might be something that's remembered about.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
like the dude that's just like I'm a jacked as heck super uber barbarian, right?
Yeah.
You know, you play as a man. Every man is a jacked as heck super uber barbarian. Every man is Conan. But you play as a woman and it's like, now I want to be Conan, but I'm going to be a woman. That's different. And people go, okay, well maybe that's memorable. Because it defeats the gender norm.
So if
or
you
you're playing a super effeminate man. It's like, hey guys, what's going on? Let's go on an adventure.
I'm a sorcerer.
I'm a sorcerer! Ooh, a superstar, sparkly stuff everywhere. Come on, guys.
Jesus.
You know, suddenly is this a more memorable character because you've picked sort of like a
Yeah.
I think
I would almost say
voice
like
helps.
the voice.
No,
helps.
but as a general rule, if someone was far outside the expected, it would be something that's more easily remembered.
Well, then wouldn't we then say that it is like wouldn't from just this slight dungeon thing, we've sort of determined that it's actually more successful to gender swap the norms.
Well, my character would be really memorable if I had 3 penises on my forehead.
Yeah, would that make a character more successful?
You're just saying
Not
being
necessarily.
a weirdo. Depends.
Okay. So that brings up the next question. Why isn't the 3 penises on the forehead more successful?
Well, it depends on how you play the character.
Well, yeah, everything depends on how you play the character.
Exactly.
Okay, so gender doesn't matter.
It's all about building how
So name
how
doesn't
you
matter.
play the
It
character.
matters a little bit.
Name.
They're
I'd say
branding, it's
name
branding.
matters more than gender.
So gender literally
I'd say they're about the
nothing.
same.
What about race? Does race matter? Other than the stat bonus?
If I'd
and,
say
and a
order of
pretend
importance.
example of what you look like?
I'd say race.
How
And name and
NPCs
gender
would
would be
interact
roughly
with
the
your
same.
character based on the culture around it.
Yeah,
Depending
but you
on
can
the
you can have a
race.
culture as a human.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from
But
some
humans are the everyman.
well
Humans are baseline.
yeah, but it doesn't matter because you've decided you're from some strange culture. Like
I'm
you,
from
you
the
have
desert
neck
or
rings
coastline.
and you wear a burqa. You know,
Okay.
and you shoot I don't know, kids on site. I don't know, your culture's really weird.
So now you're the guy from Star Wars.
But like
Then
you're
you're
really weird. You got +2 con because you live underground all the time and you're a human.
Okay.
Cool.
Like,
So does race matter?
I think so,
Yeah.
because again, it's about tilting these expectations of your people. Like your name, people don't really have that much expectations of your name, but yeah, if you are Korthak the Destroyer, the Dwarven Barbarian, people have an image in their mind. Now, if you're
Okay, but
Korthak
if
the
Korthak
Destroyer and you're now the female
Dwarven
wizard,
Barbarian... Wait, Korthak the Destroyer, the Dwarven Barbarian, you had an image in your mind. Okay, now it's Korthak the Destroyer, the Dwarven Barbarian, but it's woman. Is it more? Is it a better picture? Is it a different picture?
it is a slightly different picture.
But do you think it would be a more successful picture?
I don't think it would matter that much, but
doesn't-
I think it would be interesting.
No.
So gender's literally irrelevant. That's the nugget of truth we're coming out of this. Doesn't matter. There's no choice that you can make that matters.
It might matter a little bit in making
You know,
your character
literally,
memorable.
this is the carrot. I'm gonna make Mangarok the Slayer of Kings. 4 more, and it's a woman. Oh, it's male. No difference.
All right, I'm Bathor Bone Crusher, who happens to be a warlock. I'm a woman.
Does it matter?
no.
Okay.
It
Literally doesn't matter. Doesn't change your character. Doesn't change the way you play at all.
It might influence it a slight bit, but that's
How?
to you.
How does it influence it? If it does, how?
Easy now. Easy.
You almost knocked over your scepter.
Yeah.
A guy playing a female character has to think outside of what a guy would normally do, because
And
a
what
guy
would-
already knows what a guy would normally do.
So what do you have to do to make a female character female?
You have to. For me, it'd be like I'd have to think about. I wouldn't be able to just go like I go and do this
Why?
because
Gender doesn't matter.
I have to think about whether or not I would do it differently as a female character.
Why? Gender doesn't matter.
It doesn't, but it does. It's weird.
And why does it matter then? We're an hour and a half in, and the volume of our voices is increasingly rising. And all we've got out of this is gender doesn't matter. And I've thrown some reasons why I think it matters and why things are different.
Because it
But
affects your personality.
how? And how? Like,
I think it's
if your
more about the
personality is a
expectations other
certain
people
way,
have.
that means you're more inclined to be a female character. That would make you likely a more successful character.
No, not your personal personality.
Or
Your
maybe
character's
the
personality.
idea is successful. Maybe the problem is I'm saying successful character, because a successful character could be anything as long as you play it right, right? Like it's
Yes.
like a con game. So a more complete character, like if you're trying, maybe we're looking at this wrong. Maybe we have to look at it from meets expectations or defies expectations. All right. So if you want a character that meets expectations, right? So it's like it's following the tropes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What would make a male character male and a female character female? Why would you choose male? Why would you choose female? And then obviously you do the opposite if you're trying to go against the tropes. So what are we talking about?
Well,
We're talking about
Because you said there's a
media.
difference. There's a difference. You're playing a female character. You have to take things into consideration. What things? What are we talking about?
Well, as a guy, I would have to take into consideration how my character would more emotionally feel about certain aspects.
So women
But
are
as
more
a-
emotional.
Generally, yes.
If we're following the trope, not being successful, following the trope.
Following the
women are
trope,
more
women are more emotional. Yes.
Okay. so
Men
if you-
are more brutish and straightforward.
Okay. All right.
Men are bricks.
To follow the trope, a more successful male character, successful as a trope male,
Yeah.
would be, a brick shithouse who doesn't give a crap about your feels. All right. What it cares about is getting the job done.
Yes.
The dragon needs a slaying. I'm gonna slay the dragon. My reward for that dragon is the princess. Okay? The female character thinks about the dragon has stolen the princess. The female character thinks, how are we gonna defeat the dragon? Who can I befriend to help me slay the dragon? both might get friends and help slay the dragon, but the woman is more focused about getting a bunch of people together that can slay the dragon, and the man is more focused about getting the dragon slain. Is this a realistic assessment of maybe a difference between the two in that scenario? Like, what do we...
I wouldn't say...
Or does the woman just break down and freak out that, like, the dragon, I just took everybody! Just falls on their knees, starts slamming the ground?
They might go ahead and say, I'm going to pipe that dragon in the heart, and go about it a different way, or for more so a different reason.
Okay, so they're going to pipe that dragon in the heart and they go about it in a different way. What's the different way?
Okay. If I were a woman, I probably wouldn't be going right up close, because that's stupid. No, but for sure.
But the man might, is what you're saying.
I'm making
The
a joke.
the male character might.
It's about leveraging your strengths, right?
Okay, and you're saying the woman's strength is not in brute physical combat with a
Of
dragon.
course it could be.
Could it be?
It could be, yes.
If you
More
build
so
it,
than with a man?
if you
There's no
build
stat
it that
difference?
way, yes.
I'm not talking about, like, let's assume there is a stat difference.
Okay. Let's say...
Let's assume that we're playing the game of
there's
real
a-
life and there may be a stat difference.
If there's
We
a
don't
stat
know.
difference.
Is there a stat difference?
If there is a stat difference. Okay.
Like, I can't quantify it because we're not talking about D&D. We're talking about any given system.
Okay.
So, in Holy Lands, I think there is a stat difference. Or in Fatal, I think there is a stat difference between men and women. Maybe we're playing Fatal games.
Roll for anal circumference.
It doesn't matter.
Jeez.
We're not talking about the character sheet's numbers.
Yes.
We're talking about the character itself that meets these archetypes. Because we haven't gotten to numbers. We don't care about numbers. We're building a character.
But the thing is,
No, but
any character can fit any archetype
can
if you
have-
build
Is
it.
it more
Joan of Arc.
believable to have a woman running around slaying a dragon
in full plate.
in full plate than a man running around slaying a dragon in full plate? That's my question.
I don't think it's more
If-
believable. I think they're about the same. We have Joan
If-
of Arc. There's plenty of people in history.
Joan of Arc got burned as a witch, all right, and she was friends with Gilda
She
Red.
was burned for political reasons.
Yeah, and she was friends with Gilda Red. So,
Wasn't he the ex-rapist?
yeah, fun facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, saints aren't always so saintly.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? That's a very pragmatic and practical relationship for victory.
I don't know. Was Gilda Red really a pragmatic and practical relationship?
She achieved victory, did she not? Until
Well,
she died.
according to the history books of medieval France, yeah, I guess so. But I bet you in England they might have a different story to tell. Like I have no idea what happened.
That's true,
I love
that's
Joan
true.
of Arc as a sort of archetypal character. That's an awesome character. Hell, I based that first D&D character I talked about, like the perfect virtuous woman. That's Joan of Arc. Some virginal super warrior woman. Like, holy crap. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, but I
that
guess it
woman's
comes-
awesome. Like, if I ever get in a jam, she's got my back. I don't have to save her. We can save each other together. Like, that's a sweet idea. It's a beautiful fantasy. But it's a fantasy.
I think
Well,
it's a bit different between
that's-
what a female character would do and how people would have expectations of a male or female character.
Okay, well, so maybe then you're saying, like you're saying,
Like
we've
people
already
in the
implied,
world would
maybe
see
we're
different-
approaching this question wrong. Maybe it's not, like, we already said it's not about success. So it doesn't matter, like, any character can
okay.
be as successful anyway. There are male traits and there are female traits, and if you want to follow the trope, you do the male things. Right?
Yeah.
Essentially, we spent an hour and a half saying that if you want to be a man and act like a man, it's the best. It's best to pick a male character, and if you want to be a woman and act like a woman, it's best to pick a female character. But we really haven't defined, other than women are kind of, they like relationships, they like
'Cause you
interpersonal
can't.
stuff.
How can you
And
sum
men,
up all,
like-
half of humanity in like a tagline?
You can't. It's not possible to define
But there are
one
feminine
gender to
traits
one-
and there are masculine
yes, but they're
traits.
all based on culture and how people perceive them. If our culture was that guys share their feelings and girls bottle it up,
Well, now you're
if
in
the
ancient
things are
Greece.
reversed, then we'd be having the same argument but backwards.
Yeah, but that'd be fine.
How would that be fine? We're having the exact same argument but it's backwards.
Here, I'm gonna go to some garbage to your website and see if we can find what the difference between
Like-
masculine and feminine traits are. So they got the top 12 feminine and top 12 masculine traits. So feminine traits:
Why-
surrender.
Why is the first one surrender?
surrender, receptivity? This is feminine traits.
Yeah.
Empathy, radiance, flow, sensuality, nurturing,
What you want,
affection,
You want more
sharing,
pets?
tenderness, patience, and
I'm
loving.
gonna throw up.
These are traits that they say are traditionally feminine. These are masculine traits: freedom, direction, logic, focus, integrity, stability, passion, independence, discipline, confidence, awareness, strength. Okay, so are both of these really bad? Like, is this a good way to... Let's springboard off of this. I want to make a female character. Okay, would my female character be better served by following these traits?
Well,
I'm a loving and patient and tender character. I like to nurture my party that I play with. I'm affectionate to them. You know, I have a sensual flow, and I have a certain radiance about me. People love me
But you
because
could be
I'm
a male
an
character
exceptional.
and it'd still be masculine. If you
You're
put a
telling
male-
you're telling me that a male character that runs around being tender and loving to everybody, and that's a male character that is.
That's Toshi.
No, that's not Toshi.
what do you do?
Toshi doesn't love anybody. Toshi, for the listeners, Toshi is like this, is a monk, right? And it's this idea that I don't like people dying monk. He's a pacifist monk. He doesn't like killing. He doesn't like doing any of that, which
He's
is
really
great.
good at killing, though.
Yeah, but he is a child who actually doesn't think of any consequences to any action he ever takes. So, he has zero empathy for anybody, okay? He's not receptive to any idea that isn't his own, that he hasn't figured out, unless you're like, hey guy, maybe killing is not smart. And he'll be like, oh, okay. You know, he's actually the opposite of receptive. He'll block people trying to convince him of things.
You don't think he's tender and patient?
Surrender? He never surrenders. Okay? Like, if we are assuming that these are the correct, you know, he doesn't surrender to anything. His idea is it's his way or the highway, and he gets really upset or runs away when it doesn't work out for him because there's like a whole bunch of other people around doing something else. And he's done it.
Jesse,
Sharing? Yes, he shares.
stop licking
Okay?
my leg.
Is he tender? I don't know.
He saved a kitten.
Yeah, I guess.
I would agree with you on the receptivity, that's for sure. But
But,
he
like,
does share some of these traits.
But yeah, I would say that he's very freedom oriented. You know, he has, you know, like men and women have all of these traits.
Yes.
Like that's the thing. But there are traits that are feminine and traits that are masculine. You know,
But you just said they have all these traits.
yes, but
Which
some
means there
men
aren't.
have more of one trait and men and women have more
Well,
of the other
yes,
trait.
they
Like
lean
think
more
of them as
one
a
way or the
slider, right?
Yeah, great.
You know, men might have a like 3 in empathy, but like women might have like an 8.
Some.
know what?
And like
Sure.
and like there might be some man with a 10 in empathy because he's had the focus and the stability and the discipline because he's got a 10 in all of those to become a master of empathy. And there might be a woman with a master of focus or master of logic because she has had the patience and the empathy to sort of or whatever, or receptivity to learn what she has to learn from a master of logic. Like
go on
you
with
can
it.
find all sorts of weird reasons for things, right? Like yeah, you can
New
have
alignment
people.
system.
Exactly. You can. Each one can have any of the other. It's just the general
But, like,
idea that flows
I
in the
literally just
consciousness
googled
of
masculine and feminine traits, and we have a list
Okay.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that.
But
For example,
that's-
awareness is not.
So you're telling me
awareness
that the
isn't-
list is trash. The
Yes,
list is trash.
the
Okay,
list is
Let's go
trash.
find another list. Another list, is that going to be trash too? Is like every single list we pop up going to be trash? Here, let's
hope
find
not.
this regular list. Like, what is the right list? Focus. Okay, here, masculine versus feminine traits. This is just a picture we found. Greatness and leadership coaching. Focus on masculine traits. Focus on own needs. Competitive, assertive, protect, goal-directed, rational, linear, and logical thinking. Independence, monotask, bias for action, spatial.
That's a better list.
Okay,
Yeah,
feminine
this
traits.
list is better.
Okay. I think it's because you have emotional attachment to certain like certain words.
Well,
and it sounds like the first word,
surrender?
surrender.
Well, hold
Does-
on.
Yeah,
It-
yeah,
no,
because you want to know why?
Even the relationship.
Because, like,
look at
if-
Women
feminine
don't
traits.
surrender to anything.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Absolutely, they
Women
do.
will fight tooth and nail
I
for
will
what
kill
they
you
want.
unless you give me what you want. The woman goes, I guess I don't want to die.
So would a guy.
That's a feminine trait. No, not always. They might be, I'll die. I'll just kill you, and you can just kill me, and we'll be done with it.
Nobody wants to die.
We'll see who kills who. Yeah, but some men don't want to surrender.
That's you.
Yeah, that is me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, some
me too.
women don't want to
I do
surrender.
too. And guess what? We're both men. That's
Yeah, but
interesting
that's
how
not
that
every
works.
man.
We're all men here.
Yeah, and so if I was like, I'm going to kill you, or you're going to do what I say, you're going to go and do what I say?
Probably, yeah.
Like, go get me $1 million right now, or I will literally kill you in a
Well,
month.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
I'll find
you're-
a way. Are you going to be scared that I'll literally kill you, or are you just going to be like, fuck it, I just can't do it. You might as well just kill me.
Well,
Nobody's
probably
gonna roll over and
neither.
say kill me. I mean,
Like-
actually, wait, never mind. Some people are really
I would.
dark
I'd
jokes.
find
Literally,
option
somebody gives me
3.
an impossible task, and be like, well, okay, here's my neck. You might as well get it done.
Well, no, you gotta find option 3.
Wow, that's really goal-oriented.
Yeah.
That
So
sounds
check
like a
out the
real
feminine
manly
traits,
way of
because
doing it.
even-
Because that doesn't sound like surrendering.
Even these feminine traits on this list actually refer more to what you were talking about, like being relationship directed.
The other list did the same thing, but you just didn't like the words. Compassionate care for
Words
others.
mean things.
Collaborative. Receptive and grateful. Nurture. Relationship directed. Rather than goal directed. Intuitive. Interdependence. Multitask. Patience and forgiveness. And temporal.
As in, women care more about time rather than space.
Well,
I think that's a bit broad, but otherwise, it's not a bad list.
no, it's not. But you can't just define by gender. Like, it's a social thing. It's not defined by gender.
It's not
social.
biological at all. Are you saying there's not a biological difference between
If
men
I
and
were to
women?
say biological,
There
difference
is a
between men and women
biological.
come
I'm not
down
saying there
to
isn't a
language
biological
and
difference.
So-
I'm saying that social influence is what defines most of these traits.
that.
If we lived
yeah.
in a
Are you saying
different
that it's not a
society,
biological difference? Are you saying that?
I'm
well,
sure
Why is it in most societies women have these traits, and why is it in most societies men have these traits? Actually, why is it in all societies that women
I'm
have
sure
these traits?
biology
Unless they're
plays a-
dead societies that belong in the annals of myth.
We're looking at a very small slice of history.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and you know what? The dead parts of history, like Amazons and like warrior women, they're all gone now. You want to know why? Because they're dead.
There
Because the
are
men
female
killed
Marines.
them. Because women who were smarter than the shitty Amazons decided to send the men to kill the stupid women who were fighting. And those women made babies, and they told their children, hey, you know what's a dumb idea? Women warriors. Women belong somewhere else. That's back
which
at home.
created a culture of it.
Yeah, because that's biology. The evolution created that.
Necessarily successful.
I'm not saying biology isn't an influence. It is.
Well, yeah.
But these traits
Okay, so
are
then
not
what you're saying
entirely
then,
defined by whether or not we are
and
men
I'm sorry
or
I
girls.
didn't bring this up earlier because I'm not a clever enough man, but what you're saying then is D&D culture is 100% different.
Yes.
So then what we really should be talking about is not about gender, is about why does every setting parrot this reality when in fact it shouldn't. The women in D&D are not women. They're men. Because they have to be. Because that culture is so different, so alien to our own. Because those traits, these traits, they merge together into one big blob, right? Like this huge homogenous blob, and those women are completely different.
If I can say it, I actually think
there are no feminine traits in D&D.
I got a nugget for it. Because you look at, okay, hold on. You look at, like, say, a princess. And the image that comes to mind is dainty and floral print or
But there
whatever.
shouldn't be them. They shouldn't
Okay,
exist
but
in a D&D setting
that
because
is
there
a-
are no gender
that's a
roles
very
like that. There shouldn't be
specific
those.
environment for someone to be in. If you turn around and say, okay, now let's think about Russian beet farmers.
Yeah,
And
let's
you
think about it.
imagine a woman who is a Russian beet farmer, and I bet you are thinking she is wearing tan clothes, she's got her baggy pants, or maybe an apron, big, thick frickin' arms, and she's no-nonsense, goal-oriented, just like a man would be. So really the great equalizer is sufferance. And in the D&D world, everyone is suffering. There are literal dragons. Everyone has to work. The idea of the princess is a rarity. It's not like people have that luxury. Everyone works. Goblins attack. Your wife better pick up the damn pitchfork.
Sure, that's fine. That makes sense. But is she gonna leave the home?
She
Most
might.
men wouldn't either.
Okay, so this is this is a
Like,
completely
we're-
different scenario. Like, yeah, I like in Japanese society, there were weapons for women too. Like, there's the naginata that they would train under, right? Like, they wouldn't necessarily
yeah,
train
yeah.
swords. They would do that. But those women were not warrior women. Those were women that trained with a weapon in case men showed up with swords, and they were like, okay, well, I'm gonna
Well, then-
defend my kids.
Then they were warrior women.
And they were protecting.
But they didn't leave the home. They weren't adventurers. They weren't adventuring stock. They just were women that happened to have a little bit of training with a weapon. And guess what happened to them? They mostly probably died. But they at least maybe killed one or two of them on the way.
It depends. Because you look at things like, for example, you have a point with, say, the Spartans. In Spartan society, women were taught to fight, and they were strong, and in a lot of ways you certain masculine traits. But they also didn't leave the city. They did not go to war. But that was their culture.
Yeah.
I-
But they didn't go to war. so
here's-
why? Why wouldn't they go to war? Because
here's-
they're more valuable. Like, because, I don't know. Fuck.
Yes,
so
because
ridiculous.
here's the
Spartans
thing.
were very
What?
focused
Here's the
on...
We're
thing.
talking about making characters.
Yes. For a fantasy role-playing game
That's right.
where none of this matters because everybody...
What
the
is
kids
more
will not have an issue.
effective? What is more effective?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it
in
does.
the setting.
Absolutely,
What's more
it does.
fun
It
for
doesn't.
you?
Yes, it does.
It doesn't.
It does.
In real life, it might matter. But in this fantasy role-playing setting, it does not matter.
I think it comes
It
down
is
to
entirely
what's more
on
fun
what
for the
you
player.
want to do. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl because you can play either way.
You
In
could even
reality,
play
it
a
matters.
guy who is a girl, or a girl who is a guy,
Well,
or
why?
neither.
Why does it matter? Like, why doesn't...
It doesn't matter because nobody takes into account the fact that guys are more likely to, like,
Except
one
they
guy
do.
can nut in six.
Except they do.
They don't.
They do.
Not when you're making a character.
Sure you do. All the time. Happens all the time. People always make shit up like that. Like, you make a bunch of lady characters, people will talk to them differently. They'll treat them differently. The lady characters will act differently. Like,
How so, though?
What do you mean, how so? You
Well,
play a
I
male
have-
character, the male character will, will treat the ladies differently if they're playing in character. If not, you're just playing men. You're just playing men with a different skin. I like my men with bumps on his chest.
Yeah, but what
I like
if,
my men with no dicks.
If
I
I
like
were-
my men with fucking wombs that never get used for anything.
would my
That's
female
why I like
character-
playing men. They're all men. Every
Would-
character is a man.
But would my female character be any less of a
You don't
woman
have
if
a
she was
female
protective?
character. No one plays a female character in Dungeons and
Would
Dragons.
she
Well,
be
then
any
nobody
less of a
plays
woman?
a male character in Dungeons and Dragons
No,
either.
because they're all male.
No, they're not.
Every
Because it
last one is
doesn't
male.
matter.
You said that the differences between men and women exist in the real world, but not in the fantasy world.
Yes.
Okay?
So then everybody is an amorphous
If you're being
blob.
in it, okay,
So
and
there
in
is
the
no
real
men and
wor-
women.
and
It's
if-
just a
And
plaster
if
skin.
you're in the real world,
Yes.
would adventurers be men or women? In the
real world, probably men.
Okay.
Because women,
so
like
we
you said,
live,
are more valuable.
We live in the real world.
Yes.
Okay. So we're generating characters in the real world
Yep.
based on archetypes to go adventuring, which is something that men, you say yourself, would do in the real world. Okay? So
Probably.
it doesn't matter what
There would
skin
still
we put
probably
on.
be girls in there
Basically,
too.
de facto, we're being men.
Okay, but
We're all men.
you like Joan of Arc? Was she any less of a woman because she was assertive?
You know what? I'll bet you a nickel that Joan of Arc was probably a lot more feminine than people give her credit for. Yeah, she's written in history like a fucking man. She ran around being her and Genghis Khan were basically side by side doing the same thing, except the only difference is Genghis Khan put his dick in more women, and Joan of Arc can't. Because she doesn't have a dick. She may as well have been a eunuch. A male eunuch. It's just a man.
Well, then you're defining.
And then they
women
burned her
lack
as a
of
witch
masculinity.
because this male eunuch was running around winning battles. So they burned her as a witch because that's what you do to women. You burn them as witches.
Yeah, but does that make her any less of a woman?
Yes, she's a man because the history books probably didn't tell all the womanly things that she did.
Well, then it doesn't matter what gender they are because their mental gender could be whatever you like. They could say they have a man's
I'm just saying they're all
personality.
men.
No.
You're playing a man.
You're saying if they're skinned as a woman and they're still men on the inside, then what difference does it make?
It doesn't.
Now what I'm saying is you're saying it doesn't make a difference. And I'm saying, yeah, it absolutely doesn't make a difference because there's only one choice. And you guys have chosen that the only choice is male.
But it
Because
isn't.
every character is a male. No, it doesn't
but
matter.
It isn't.
It doesn't matter because the feminine traits are irrelevant.
So are the male traits.
No, because they get used all the time. The fact that
So
you're
do
even
the
being an
female
adventurer is a male trait.
So do the female traits.
But you don't use them.
But you do.
How many games have you played where you started a family and had interpersonal relationships with NPCs? How many fucking games have you played where you're like, man, I have children. I don't want to go on the adventure because I need to raise my kids.
Every child on Earth was produced by a man as well.
Yeah, and men sometimes go out there and find things to bring back to their kids. Or they go on...
So do women.
Or they go on military, they're called to military action. And guess who stays home? You don't call the woman on military action, the dude stays home. That's stupid.
Okay, I would give you this, that there are no
You're
all
pregnant!
women are.
Nope! You gotta go frickin' fight with the Gladius. Get out there. John here went last time. Sorry.
That would be more fair.
Let me punch your uterus and end that. Poof.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I get it. We live in a society now where women and men are basically the same goddamn thing because birth control matters, and you're not stuck at home all day because everybody has a sex drive.
Yeah.
But, like, D&D land wasn't like that. So
Well, D&D Land is like that, though.
except you're not playing women then. Because women have a sex drive. And if
So
you're going to
do
play...
men.
Yeah, but men can walk away when they're done at the tavern. Women have 9 months to basically be an adventurer before they gotta retire.
I'm sure there's magical herbs to prevent that.
I'm sure there's plenty of magical herbs to prevent that. Are we gonna
Exactly.
Are we gonna role play that?
Role play your plan, please. Yeah. Oh my God.
You're Pognart. Oh, do I have herbs? There are no herbalists here. I guess I have to go to the old witch then. She'll
Then
find
you
a way
might
to get
have
that
to
out.
fucking go to the old witch.
Well, has anyone ever experienced that in a role-playing game?
No, because when I play a
'Cause
role-playing
you're
game
all
to go
playing
adventuring,
men. Yeah, you play probably a virtuous, perfect woman who never gets in any social predicaments ever. No fade to black. We don't even fade to black. You don't even fade to gray. You probably just like, you're probably
because if
what's
I
her
want to
name?
keep adventuring, I'm not going to fade to black. I'm not playing Gregora, Brian.
Wow.
I'm not. My
That-
goal is
that's
not to
me.
make human eggs.
That's-
So I'm gonna go run around and dick dragons.
The human eggs thing, to be fair, is just a means so that the GM doesn't have to basically write the character out as soon as it happens, even though I want to do feminine things. Like, make babies and not be like, you know...
If that's
I'm
your
a
goal,
prude.
you will find a way to make it happen and still keep adventuring. You are
You did say
actively
you were already
doing that.
prepared to keep adventuring, even if you were
You
like,
will if
full
you're
on 9 months.
if you're
in
playing
a sense,
the
I'm not adventuring in that game, though.
You're more
'Cause, like,
world building.
Yeah, we're like
But
living
that-
in a duchy. I could literally
If you're-
send
but
men
that's
to do the thing they
nurturing.
do.
if you're playing
Well, it's a female character. I'm not gonna say Gagora's not a female character. I'm trying my best to play it as an actual female character. Like that's something completely different. What I'm saying though is like a lot of characters, or most of these characters, I would dare say almost all of the characters that us gentlemen play, and I'm sure that us women play. Like I said at the beginning of this 2-hour stint, you know, they're all playing
Best
their
episode
gender,
ever.
and they're not playing the opposite gender. Like, yeah, you can reskin it and say I'm a woman, but you're not. You're not playing a woman. You're not doing things that a woman would do. You're not even doing the character's gender justice. You're just saying, oh, it's a checkbox and I want to draw better fan art. Or I found fan art for this character, so it's a woman. I'm not going to play a woman. I'm just going to play whatever dude I want to play. It just happens that this one looks prettier and has more curvy ass.
Yeah, but you're saying,
Okay.
even if they
And,
have,
if
and
they
honestly,
have-
I'm not saying that's
Well,
wrong.
what if
I'm
they
just
have
saying that
some
that's what's being
masculine
done.
traits? If they have some masculine traits and some feminine traits, and they're a woman, does that make them a man?
Some feminine
Well,
traits.
just
and
for example, Gagora. She shows care for others. She is collaborative. She nurtures her society, but she's also assertive and competitive and goal-directed.
yeah, because I'm a dude, and I said at the beginning that I have to really.
But there are
fucking
women like that too.
buckle
Yeah.
down. Yeah, I know there are, and I guess those women are. Are they feminine women? Are they not? Like,
Do you have to
What
be like
defines-
100%
What
feminine to be a
defines
woman?
feminine and masculine is entirely dependent on the culture of whatever culture you're in.
I think in the end, you don't have to be 100% masculine or feminine to be considered playing that character.
no, I didn't say you had to be 100%. I'm just saying that, like,
I would agree with you that they all...
at the beginning of
there
this
is some
show, I
masculinity
asked
required.
what defines a feminine character and what defines a masculine character, and the answers I'm receiving is nothing, no, and maybe this list is pretty good now that you brought it up, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because fantasy. So essentially, I got a bunch of pushback, and then when I like tried to push back on this no, I got no, Brian, you did wrong. There ain't no difference. But there are. I'm just saying they
There's some.
exist,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna
They
like
do,
we're
but
2
you
hours in. We're not gonna find the answer. We're
No.
just not.
It's
And, like, there's no answer. If you want to
This
play
is
a
a big
male
question.
character, what you feel in your heart as a male character would best be served by being male, and what you feel in your heart as a female character would best be served by being female.
So what makes you
or
successful?
what
Trust
you
your gut?
trust your gut, I guess. But like that's terrible. That's
It is.
We literally wasted 2 hours. Like that's what happened. Like this
Well-
episode is a wash. I'm
Yeah,
gonna save it
what's
and I'm
that,
gonna upload it, but it's brutal. We
what's
literally
that,
didn't do anything. The only nugget of
rule by
truth we got
exclusion?
out of here was that maybe women are more social oriented and men are like a little bit more call to action oriented. And the list like brought that out. But you're just like that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all
Oh,
because
I
I
think
can
it-
just pick
I think
whatever I
it
want, do
matters
whatever I
somewhat.
want, and that's true. We're playing a game of the imagination where you can do whatever you want, but that's not the
Exactly.
point. That's not
Well-
even an argument. That's the same argument as if the players all agree, right? Yeah, of
You-
course you can, but the point is what makes that character correct or more successful rather than less successful. And so I want to play a character who fits an archetype. Is it more successful to shirk the archetype and play a female character to be more memorable or more?
Then what do you enjoy more in that particular case? Because it is a game, and the point of the game is enjoyment.
So what do you want to play? What kind of fan art do you want to draw?
Yeah.
You know, what kind of pictures do you want to look up for your character? That's really all it is.
I think you're right.
In the
Gender
end
is
of-
Right at the
literally at the end
beginning,
of the
you
day.
said because you want to draw a female character, and that's just as good a reason as any.
And that's is that what we're gonna go with? Is that the final answer, basically?
I hate to say
2
it, but
hours
that's
and
what I would
12 minutes into this podcast, a few alcohols in. Is that where we are? Is that it? Like this episode was longer because we couldn't find an answer, and there is no answer, or there is an answer and we just refuse to say it,
Or we're dumb.
or we're dumb.
We might have overlooked something, but I think that's a rule by exclusion. We got rid of some things that aren't the answer. That's for sure.
Okay, so what's not the answer?
It's not stereotypes. That's
Is it?
not necessarily going to make a better character. Playing against the stereotype might actually be a more closer to the truth of what makes a character more memorable, if that's what's more fun for you. What kind of fan are you?
Nobody wants a bland, gruel character.
No.
I don't think anybody wants a shitty character. It's like, well, I just want to make a bad character. One that's unmemorable, unnotable. Really, I'm just like John Gray.
Yeah.
A woman.
Even that would be slightly memorable because of that choice. But again, that's bucking the archetype, right?
Yeah.
Joanna Gray.
There you go. Boring as...
Man.
It's like, what are you going to do? Well, I've been an adventurer for all of 10 minutes, and I decided, screw killing these goblins. I'm going to go back home to my pottery shop. The end. I retire.
I did that with a character once. They thought I was really mad at them.
But
We were playing, now I can't remember it. It's a White Wolf game, where you play as ghosts. Or not ghosts, you play as people who can, like, interact with ghosts.
oh, okay.
I can't remember what it's called now. I think it starts with an O. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we played that. I played a character who was like, he was like a cook, and he encountered the point of the character. Each of the characters, they have to have had a glimpse with death, and I had a kitchen fire, and I almost died in the kitchen fire, and that was my like brief glimpse with death. And I was just a guy. I was a regular dude who was like a cook.
Yeah.
And so we went on this like mission 1 to go be Orpheus. It's called Orpheus. Mission 1 was basically, it was like straight out of the book. It was like a giant module. It was like a 2-book module with like multiple episodes. And like, yeah, module 1 was you go deal with this ghost thing, and the ghost thing almost actually hurt us. Like, it hurt us and almost killed us. And I'm like, this is too dangerous. I'm going to quit. And all the players thought, like, what? Like, that's madness. It's like, no, this is too much. I have a family. I have like kids at home. Like, I can't. This paid well, but like I can't die.
I'm scared to death already.
Yeah, like this is no good. And literally, there are reapers. Like, no. Like, I'm done. See you later, guys. I'll take my severance if there is one. If not, like, I tried.
Yeah.
And then I built a drug cartel guy, like a guy who like was like a total like
Risk taker.
No, he was like he didn't care about anything. Like, he was a sociopath. I mean, a sociopath that was ex like South American drug cartel. And he was into like the cocaine business, but it got, because there was like a subplot about this like ghost drug that was being given to people, and it allowed them to see ghosts, but they didn't know that was what they were doing. And it gave you a really sweet high, and that they ran me on a business. Like, people didn't want cocaine anymore because this other drug came in, and we don't have the ability to make it.
Oh.
Because the way that it's made it turns out is really ridiculous. Like, it required you to basically grind up ghosts and turn it into drugs. So I got ran out of business, and I'm like, well, I had a lot of brushes with death, so I met the requirements of the character, and I'm like, I came in and that game was really stupid. It was really great, and the first book was really exceptional. Like, it was awesome. Orpheus was really great, but once you got to the second book, it was stupid. Like, all it was you get more powers and you get more ridiculous abilities. It became a White Wolf game. It was really bad.
Oh, jeez.
It's like, let's start jerking myself off here. I'm so awesome.
Well, eventually you had to follow like weird specific archetypes, and then you got more and more dots in that cool archetype, and you got more and more powerful. So I was, of course, the guy who didn't take any of those extra dots. Like, I didn't get like the 6th dot in extra, or whatever that archetype is. I just started doing other things, and I ended up trying to get into sort of weird outside the box kind of shit, and the GM was like, didn't really understand.
Oh
what to do.
man.
But anyway, I guess we'll close up. Closing statements. 2 hours and 17 minutes in. I hope everybody. I hope all the listeners enjoyed this conversation. It was pretty heated, and I would say it was an interesting one. I just don't think it got anywhere. Like I don't think we actually. Like most of these episodes find some sort of nugget of truth, and I don't think we found any nugget of truth other than it doesn't matter. And I feel that feels like such a bad end.
Well, we're gonna run into some of those sometimes eventually. This might just be our first one.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's true.
And yeah, it might just be like I don't know if I agree with it. I don't think I do at all. I think there are traits that are feminine, but I'll mention that in the closing remarks. I'll let the Spartan have his first closing remarks, though.
I stand by my statement that it doesn't really agree and it doesn't really matter, but when you're building a character, you're not really taking into account whether or not you're going to need to have the baby fix.
No, we're just talking about one character, and it doesn't matter. Like to be fair, like I'm going to respond to that because you took a jab there. But
by all means.
Well, think about this. Okay,
Like-
there are some female specific archetypes, and there are male specific archetypes. A perfect female specific archetype is the Black Widow. This is a woman who gets into relationships with people and kills them,
Okay.
or she seduces
That's
people,
actually a narrative.
and she seduces people in order to advance herself. Right?
Okay.
Like this is a fairly female specific archetype.
You could do it with a guy too, though.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
could
how
do
it.
anything with anybody. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter. You could do it with a fucking orc woman. It's irrelevant. But the point is it's a better served archetype as a woman.
In the classic stereotype, yeah.
That's right, and that's the point. That's what I'm asking. That was the whole point of the episode. What archetypes, what things are better served by being a woman, and what things are better served by being a man? And just now
Well,
that it's come to me, the Black Widow is an archetype. Or the old witch, the witch in the forest. Right? The old witch in the forest is better served as a woman.
Well, there's always an opposite
the-
to that archetype, though.
The
You could do it
the
with either
midwife,
side.
the old midwife or whatever, that's a woman. But likewise the conqueror is usually a man. The mad scientist is usually a man. Male archetypes in
they're
adventure
tropes.
games are pretty much everybody.
They're tropes, but I'm not sure that they're
Yeah, but
necessarily
you can also
better
fit
served.
that with women too. It's not
Yeah,
just.
but like I said, you could do anything. You
It
could
might
Yeah,
make a better
exactly.
in the
story
previous
otherwise.
episode.
This is the problem.
In the
you
previous
can do
episode, though,
anything.
but in the previous episode, you can name anybody anything anyway.
Yeah.
But we agreed that certain names are more successful than other names.
Yeah, but
And
it
we
wasn't
found-
based on gender.
We determined what made a name good and what made a name not good. Like, so what makes it? Like,
It has to be interesting. Yeah. That's basically what it came down to.
it had to be interesting. It
and
had to roll
different,
off the
and- yeah.
tongue. It had to be like that. So there had to be something that made gender choices more successful than other gender choices.
But
So
it
yeah,
doesn't matter because
well,
everything
taking
is
that
equal.
into account, are there gender choices that make things more interesting? Is there a way to make a gender choice more interesting? Make a character more interesting by picking a gender choice?
I think
and-
by
and we
playing
touched
against
on
the
it.
archetype.
We touched on it, playing against the archetype.
Yeah.
That's a way to do it. So you play against the archetype, your character becomes more interesting as a result. Would it be fair to say then that, like, playing towards the archetype or playing within the archetype is not a more interesting thing? Like, a character is generally not more interesting if they play against the archetype? Or if you're going to play to the archetype specifically and not put a female twist on it, like, say you're a male archetype and you're being a female, but you're just going to play it like a male. Because gender doesn't matter. There's no female twist to the male archetype. Is that a more successful character?
It
A
depends
more
on,
interesting character?
depends on how you play it.
No,
Like,
I
'cause-
told you how you're playing
no,
it. You're
but
playing
you
it
can
like
be-
a man.
You can be a female and fail at playing the archetype. You can be a man and fail at playing the
Yeah,
archetype.
that means you're a shitty
for the
player.
same
That's
reason.
the question. Like, that's my question. Is it like when you're
Gender doesn't play into that.
Is there a female twist? Can you take a male archetype and put a female twist on
Yes.
the archetype? Okay, so then there's something about being a female that
It falls,
produces a twist.
it falls outside
to the
the
male
normal
archetype.
stereotype.
Yeah, but there's a thing there. There's a tangible thing. And
Yeah.
maybe the problem that with this episode has had then is we're trying to define what the thing is, but maybe the thing is a twist. Maybe the thing is a female twist or a male twist. So like the Black Widow archetype is a female archetype. You put a man in that, put a male twist on the female archetype, that's an interesting character. Why? Because you're exploring the male twist of a female archetype. All right, the character's interesting.
Yeah.
Now you have if you made that male character who explores the female, like who's being a Black Widow, but he's just the female archetype. He's just straight up like
He acts feminine.
he acts feminine. He's even taught like the character even plays him like a woman. Hell, a woman's playing the character. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm a male Black Widow.
Yeah, that would.
You
lose
haven't
some impact.
changed anything.
That would lose some impact.
You may as well be a male. You may as well be a woman with the female archetype because that would make your character better. If you're adding the male aspect, like adding the flavor of being male to that female archetype, would that make it better? And then you actually
Okay.
play the male type, like
I
you
think
actually do that twist.
You'd have to.
Actually do it.
I think that's the thing, is
You
that you're
can't
right.
just-
It doesn't matter because you can have women who are very masculine and men who are very feminine, and they're both fine as they are. But if you're going to try to make something more interesting, you're going to play against the archetype, you're going to play with that male or female twist, you do have to commit to it. Like if I play an archmage, the master of magic, the leader of a magical tower with their own students, and this person is a woman, there needs to be something actually womanly about them. Otherwise, the fact is, the only twist is that they are a woman who happens to be just like a man. That would be their own twist then. And that's not really as satisfying.
And yes, we can
I
be
wouldn't say
socially
that would be-
progressive by saying a woman could be an archmage too, and they could be just as much an archmage as a male
Well, of
as a
course,
man can
she
be.
might be the most
That's
talented
not a-
archmage ever.
That's
and it
not a
wouldn't matter.
gender-specific stereotype, though.
Except
like
it
black,
is.
No, the Black
when you
Widow
think of
thing
an
is,
archmage, you don't think of like a woman. You think of a man because the archmage is a man. The sorceress queen is a woman. They're the same stereotype. They're the same character. They both rule all the magic. They're the top magic person, right? But one is female, one is male. What's the difference? And we don't have to discuss exactly what the difference is, but one is male. You know, name an archmage who's a woman in any fiction. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's because it's not.
Well,
Because that's
that's-
not the trope.
But if I played a female archmage, that could help make that character more interesting.
Yeah.
Especially if I didn't sacrifice her femininity in exchange for the sheer power.
Merlin versus Maleficent, if you want to go Disney, right?
Morgana.
Morgana Le Fay. But those are two basic. Merlin is essentially like an all-powerful wizard who can do pretty much anything. It's ridiculous. He travels in time in the stupid cartoon. Like we're talking about the Disney cartoons, right?
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, he's basically all powerful. He's kind of like a doddering old man or whatever, and he gets fed up with Arthur at times or whatever. And Maleficent is a completely separate character, but they're both male. They're very male and very feminine, and they're both different. They're extremely different. They're not the same character at all. But one is definitely male and one is definitely female. If you saw,
it's how the characters play.
if you saw Maleficent be like, whoa! Boop, 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 come in with like her like shorts on and the 2 suitcases and talking about how she went to the future, that wouldn't make any goddamn sense. It just wouldn't look
It'd be fucking
because that's
memorable.
man baby territory, and women are not man babies. All right,
I've
she
met
would
a few.
open, she would throw open the door more like Cruella de Vil and throw her luggage in forward. Like that would be the stereotype for a woman. That'd be the female twist. It's like
Yeah.
she would own the fact that she traveled in time, make a grand entrance because she just did. You know, his grand entrance is I'm a man child and I just did a thing that's really fun.
It's really cool, and I don't care about
Which is a stereotype, but that's a male
yeah, but you're taking
stereotype on an
two
arc wizard.
stereotypes
Yeah, but that's
and
the
saying
point.
how they would be different.
I think he's onto
It's-
something here, because if you do twist The stereotype, it does make a character more memorable and probably more fun to play, but only if you commit to it.
Yes.
We all agree that differences exist. Archetypes exist, and you can twist the archetypes between the genders, right?
Yes.
Like, these are all things that we agree on. So taking a male specific or male dominated, if you want to be whatever, archetype, and then adding a female twist to it requires you to actually add a female twist.
She's Marla
Yes.
the Conqueror.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. The barbarian, right? Like the Conan style characters. Like, I am the conquering barbarian. That's a man. All right? You want to make a conquering style barbarian that's a female? You want to make Red Sonja, right? You add a twist to it. Red Sonja is a twist on Conan, the female edition of Conan. What does that mean? Well, we don't know, because we got to explore that. We have to watch Red Sonja to find out. All right? But that's what makes her interesting, because she's Conan but a woman. She's
But
Red
she can't
Sonja.
just
She's
be-
allowed to be Conan, but she's not Conan.
But if
She doesn't punch a camel.
If she was just Conan with a reskin, it wouldn't be as interesting as if she still retained some of those stereotype traits.
Well, like, feminine traits. Like, they're just like the fact that she's a woman has different things. Like, there's stuff that's taken into consideration that are different. Like, it's just, we're always calling it stereotypes, but I feel that there's like a weird negative connotation to stereotype.
No,
Like,
I don't think so.
okay, well then the stereotypical traits. We'll just continue using that term. It's just I just didn't want like a negative connotation on the fact that, like, you know, certain genders have certain norms or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, sorry about that. I totally interrupted your closing statement to add another half hour to the damn show.
Yeah, that's fine.
15 minutes, actually. But that's okay.
I don't even remember where I was now. I stand by my statement that gender doesn't matter, but going outside of what could generally be considered normal for a specific gender can add an interesting style or design to playing that character, but you have to be willing to stick to that.
Commit to the bit.
Commit to the bit, yes. Like, if you're going to play the female paladin in full plate, like, make your character, figure out what they're going to be like and what aspects you want to take from either side, and keep it going. Like, don't.
So, would you say then that we would be better served playing to the trope if the character is going to stick to the trope specifically? So, like, if I'm going to be a Black Widow and I'm just going to play straight-laced up Black Widow, right? I should probably be a woman. But if I'm going to play a Black Widow and I want to play a man, I should make sure I put a male twist on it, or
Yes.
else I'm basically going to ruin my own character. My character will not be as successful.
Yes, I would say that.
Okay.
I agree with that.
And
That
I
makes
would say
sense.
that that's the case. We can't name every trope, and maybe that was the problem with the first hour of the show, that we were trying to figure out what tropes are male and what tropes are female, rather than just say that tropes exist.
Yeah.
And maybe we wouldn't have even gotten to the point where we even talked about how these tropes are legit beforehand. But that seems to be... Okay, that's good. Mr. Dagwood, closing comments. Or the opening comments for a new salvo of discussion.
I will try not to say anything too inflammatory. I generally agree in saying that gender matters somewhere in between name and hair color. It's not the most important choice that you're going to make about your character. And in fact, I think it honestly probably matters more on how other people are going to treat and perceive you rather than how your character themselves are going to behave. Because any personality trait can belong to any person, and that doesn't make them any more or less of a man or a woman or otherwise. However, I do think that there is something beneficial to be gained by playing against the trope, because you are playing against expectations, and that suddenly, if people are surprised by what their not expecting, they become more consciously aware and alert. And this becomes interesting. And it can also make a character memorable. But if you are going to play with a male or female or other twist, it should be important. Like if you're going to say, I am a Warforged, I am genderless, you shouldn't suddenly understand the subtle interplay of flirtation between the sexes. Your character should be committed to that role.
And likewise, though, if you're playing, I am a genderless Warforged, but I'm a female, or I'm a male. Like, I have these traits. Like, for whatever reason, you've decided that you're now a Warforged with a gender.
Yes.
You know, then maybe you need to stick to the bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It sounds ridiculous, but, like, yeah. Robo-dicks and robo-boobies. Seems bad, but whatever.
My next character,
stick to the bit.
I'm going to start rolling stats for
You know,
robo-dicks.
actually, to be fair, just to get some view counts up because of Star Wars.
Oh, I got a 15.
You know, L33T is a Warforged woman. There you go. That is a woman that is.
I don't know who
Watch
L333
Solo.
is. Watch Solo?
Solo Star Wars story.
Okay.
They have a social justice female droid.
Jeez.
And they named her Elite?
L33T. Yeah.
Elite.
That's hilarious.
Jeez. Oh, that's horrible.
I know it's bad.
That is bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty fantastic.
Spoiler alert,
That's
you
how
guys.
upset that
That's
makes some people.
not. Oh.
Oh, come on. Don't you like watching people freak out?
Yeah, I like watching a trash fire too, but I also like watching a good movie, especially from an existing franchise that was really good.
Yeah.
I don't like watching it be destroyed by a bunch of weirdos. But anyway, that's okay. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll go with my closing statement. Yeah, I do think gender choices are important in a character. Else I wouldn't have made this list with gender as an option. I would say that it is not like the most important choice that you can make in your character, but it does define the way that you act or the way that you set yourself out as a character. Like I think that when you decide you're playing a female character or when you decide you play a male character, you start acting differently. I've seen it too often to not think that it's true. And I definitely agree with the whole sticking to the bit. You know, play to the trope, and if you're gonna subvert the expectation of the trope by switching genders or whatever, stick to the bit. On the topic of race, I would say that the race is just as irrelevant or just as relevant as gender, except these are just built-in cultures.
Yeah.
Gender is really just a built-in culture. You just don't get a sweet stat bonus for it. But we don't want to talk about what those cultures are, and that's fine too, because it's really ambiguous, and I think right now we're in a period of flux. If this was like 150 years ago, we might be very, very different. We might be speaking very differently about the genders.
Yeah.
And right now it's in a sort of state of flux because women have discovered that they can be men now, and we're still learning what that actually means. And that's a good thing. I think that's evolution, baby. Also, yeah, we were watching Glenn and Glenda. That's the
Glenn
big
or
reveal.
Glenda.
Yeah, Glenn or Glenda. The Ed Wood
Oh,
classic.
right at the end. Oh, man. That's
Yep.
only an hour-long video. How many times did you loop this movie?
Apparently
Almost three times.
That's
Assuming
rough.
we started at the halfway point.
Marathon. Wow.
That's rough. Yeah, this was a pretty long episode. So I apologize, guys, if you think that this was too long and you lost interest. But if you guys kept interest, thanks for your support. I hope that it helped you guys out in sort of thinking about your D&D characters and making those choices. But yeah, stick to the bit. Is really what it is. Stick to the bit. If you're gonna play the bit straight-laced, play it with the regular gender. If you're gonna play the bit subverted, you might want to change the gender. It'll make your character more interesting. Unless the subversion you want to do to the bit has nothing to do with the gender. I think male and female choices, they're part of those bits, or part of those tropes, and those tropes are important. They define sort of they define our culture as humans, and so like sticking to them is kind of interesting. Also, something we didn't touch on, but I'm going to just briefly mention your play group of players. I would almost guarantee look differently upon people who play to their gender than people who play opposite gender.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, so that might also be the kind of thing you might want to think about. Yeah, obviously, if your play group is a bunch of, loud and proud, subvert expectations people, then maybe that's a more appropriate gender to play. Is play opposite of whatever you're trying to play.
Yeah.
But if you're a bunch of straight laced dudes or whatever that are just like I don't like that, or it's like they think it's weird that you're playing a lady, maybe play a dude. Unless and then there's also the comfort level too, right? Like if you're gonna play a lady and stick to the bit and start getting all like interpersonal relationships with people. The fade to black kind of thing, it does make people a little bit uncomfortable.
Might want to skip that part.
Maybe.
Just a little bit.
Or don't, because maybe they need to just grow thicker skin and learn how to roleplay properly.
Hold on.
That's another...
I'm menstruating.
There you go. And that's the other thing, too.
I don't think you need to go that in depth with it.
Why not?
Well, I mean, you can if you want to, but I don't think it's really necessary.
Disadvantage on physical actions?
I just figured we could use another hour of arguing.
Because you might get the DM going, yeah, okay, you get disadvantage on all physical actions, and
hormones are imbalanced.
Yeah,
so you also get difficulty on all
wisdom,
all mental actions because you're not making good decisions because you're just completely bonkers right now.
Oh my god. We just had to... Yep. Okay, that one was my fault for getting us off that rail.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Mr.
Right.
Dagwood. Anyway.
Just bury it even.
All right, so if you liked what you listened to, we thank you. Like and subscribe if you can. Ring that bell. Ring that bell for notifications. We're gonna start having. We might start having a Friday podcast as well. We're gonna start delving into GMery, I think, with the Duck Lord. He seems to like that idea. I don't know who else will show up, if anybody, but if you're interested, keep an eye out for that. Next episode of iCharacter is going to be probably a less problematic one, less inflammatory, and it's going to be backstory. How to toot your own horn.
Oh, that's a good
thank God.
Oh, that's good. I like that one.
Yeah, that was a much easier one, and it probably will only be an hour.
Perfect timing.
So for everybody out there in Fantasyland, I hope you enjoyed the episode again. You all take care. And don't die.